Pushing the pedals, nigga. We really wanna beat. That slick mix, nigga. Oh. I'm just chillin' with my shooter, nigga. I'm usually with a group of niggas. Yeah, you know the Van D, but everybody in that van draws. Worth the Luther, nigga. Selling grams to your stupid, nigga. Oh, you be saving hoes, you a super nigga? Come through on your block so deep, you gon' think we was marching for King Luther, nigga. My niggas rock out like they in a tour. I'm hanging with a couple shooters, but there's many more. What you speak is half bold like a minotaur. We hustle hard, we can't even take a minute off. You not about that like what you riding for. That van pull up slow, open the sliding door. You better run to the crib or hide behind the wall, cause all you gon' see is shots like the final four. Give me the loot or you're visiting Luthor. Bang this big hammer, feeling like I'm the new Thor. Setting up shop like I opened a new store. Need my pockets looking like my thighs grew 2 more. Nigga, I'm too raw. Got a couple hoes, but I need a few more. My girl's acting moody still. I told the sitcom, my life's like a movie still. Look at the movie, chill. I'm just chillin' with my shooter, nigga. Oh yeah. I'm usually with a group of niggas. Yeah, you know the Van D, but everybody in that van draws. Worth the Luther, nigga. Selling grams to your super, nigga. Oh, you be saving hoes, you a super nigga? Come through on your block so deep, we gon' look like we marching for King Luther, nigga.
Pull up gang like the Uber, nigga. She blowing with 2 hands, I'm the tuba, nigga. My nigga Mount keep the 40, that's a cougar, nigga. I want the all gray Taurus, that's a trooper, nigga. I start signing them little pistols, you pop gunning. And when I bust it from 12 like the cops coming. A fair warning, I dance on them, put hands on them. And all the ops in their crime till I transform them. Black man, keep a gun, tap man. Straight hands off the waist, nigga, Batman. If disrespected, I sprayed like it's a disinfectant. And you ran up on the plug, well now you disconnected. Said he felt a bad hand, I'm glad he dealt. Now he got beef over onions like a patty melt. I strap up and act up, so back up. With crack up and pack up and stack up. My life is like old steak, cause it's cold and tough. Supposed to be cash when we link, this is not a cup. Your man shook, hustling, I got the handbook. And we ain't talking abuela the way my grams cook. A chrome buster, heavyweight, bone crusher. And we can fade in the back like the old buster. I'm never telling, rap artist, convicted felon. And he thinks shit sweet till I hit his melon.
I'm just chillin' with my shooter, nigga. I'm usually with a group of niggas. Yeah, you know the Van D, but everybody in that van draws. Worth the Luther, nigga. Selling grams to your super, nigga. Oh, you be saving hoes, you a super nigga? You a super nigga? Come through on your block so deep, we gon' look like we marching for King Luther, nigga. That secret sauce, nigga. Pushing the pedals, nigga.
What's going on, world? Chop Shop Radio brought to you by the Universal Collective and the Woo Worldwide DJ Coalition. Shout out to DJ Ice, the head of the Woo DJ Coalition, and the first general, Cat X. You know, we wasn't here last week. We had some technical difficulties in getting everything ready. We got the laptop set up. We're streaming on our site right now, www.uzd.world. Also on our YouTube. What is it?
You got the shit HD, you know what I mean? 1080p.
Is it HD? Yeah, man. Everything good? Everything's good? Everything's good. 1080p? Is that how we rock it today? More sacrificial lambs. You know what I mean? So, I don't know what's wrong with your microphone. I'm trying to make sure everything's good, bro. Trying to make sure everything's all set. So, anyways, we're here in the Chop Shop Radio every week, 6 to 8 o'clock. We bring you hip hop, politics, comedy, a little bit of everything. I mean, really, right? I mean, a little bit of everything. You know what I'm saying? What's up with you?
What's up, man?
Why don't you introduce yourself? You was here before.
As Perez in the building, was good.
Yeah, man. What's good? So what's going on? How you doing today?
Whew, I'm tired today. A little exhausted today, but you know, I'm chilling.
So how you feeling now? You looking like, you know what was interesting is your first interview was 2 weeks ago or so, and now you look really confident on the mic.
Yeah,
right now.
I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling confident right now. Feel a little bit more at ease. You know
That's
what
what
I
it
mean?
seems like. It seems like you're a little.
Well, I got to get to know you guys too, so it's more easier now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get you. I feel you on that. It becomes a little more of a situation. Where you get To anybody tuning in right now, we should really be tuning in. We're doing a little bit of the Facebook live stream, but we really want you to rock out with us at www.uzd.world, not a .com, not anything else. That's how we do it. Watch out when you move that, though. That's all. Actually, just move this right here. That little bit right there.
There we go. Yeah,
So what's going on, everybody out there in the world? Know what I'm saying? How's everybody doing?
Chop Shop Radio, Nahbi reality in the building.
Got the whole family coming and shit. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, yo? So anyways, back to what we were saying, Chop Shop Radio. Let me get it all started. I am your host, Nahbi Reality, with my co-host, Kash, and we have BX Young G's in the building. We got S. Perez coming to visit. 2 weeks ago was her first interview. Now she's back looking like she's ready to say something, start talking and whatnot and what have you. But like I said, I'll be doing a little bit of the live stream for a while. But what I need y'all to do is really want you to tune into our archives, www.uzd.world. You can click the Chop Shop Radio link. Matter of fact, let me go to it right now so I can show y'all so you can see what time it is with this right here. Let me show y'all real quick that are watching. You know what I mean? Y'all tune in. You just go to www.uzd.world. You see that
/ Nahbi reality.
Especially, that doesn't say /
World. You gotta put that link in.
Yeah, look at it again.
So you go right here. All you do is go to. All you gotta do is really put www.uzd.world. There's a brief bio on us. There's more info to come. And all you gotta do is look. Check this out, people. Let's not play no games.
If you have a touchscreen, you can touch it.
If you touch it, otherwise you have to click it. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So you check it out. You got Chop Shop Radio right there. You got the boys in the building. And then see right there, you got the live show you're watching right now. See that right there? That's what's going on right there on the live stream. You know what I'm saying? You can see the whole picture. So tune into that, man. Stop playing around. You know what I mean? Because we're gonna do less and less of the Facebook streaming. But y'all be lazy, man. It'll be like so many hundreds more.
We've been saying that for a year.
Yeah, for a year, yeah.
1 year anniversary. We're gonna transition soon.
1 year anniversary it is. You know?
Are you guys twins?
It look like it, right?
I know, right?
So let's get right into it.
No, you got a mohawk. Liam, you got a baby.
Oh, that baby's lifeline.
Oh, that baby look real.
Get it?
I didn't even see
You
that.
want to hear the history about that baby?
Let me see the baby.
That baby's.
Yo, you gotta check this out.
That baby's an edition baby right there.
Check this
That
out.
baby's an actual
Holy
baby that
shit.
passed away.
This baby looks real.
This lady made maybe like five
Y'all can see that at home?
babies. It was a baby that passed away, and she made
Yeah.
like 5
This
of
baby
them.
look real.
And this
Here
lady,
you go, baby girl.
she gave it to my daughter, and she was like, you know, there's a limited edition baby. That's a real baby.
Yeah, it looks like a real baby.
I didn't even peep that.
That baby-
I'm like, what the fuck?
That's a scary baby, man. That
That
baby.
is one of them scary looking babies, but that's a real that actual is a real baby. Like
She is modeled after a real
there's only
baby.
5 of those made. That's the real limited edition.
That'd be kind of scary though. Like if you had a baby that passed away and then like somebody like made a replica of your baby and just like
Pretty crazy, right?
it's like selling them and handing them out. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
one she
okay.
had was kind of heavy, and they made this one light up. So
I like
you
it.
walk around and be like, damn.
It's heavy old baby. That baby had a real pamper on and everything. That's
Trust me, she be doing the most with that baby.
Doing it up.
That's
Doing the
crazy.
most. Mommy duties, right?
That's crazy. Like why do they give little girls babies?
I think maybe to prepare them for being mothers.
For motherhood.
Yeah, later on in life, right? That's what it is.
I mean, I guess.
Do little girls really want babies? Like, or they got limited choices. So he's like a pony, a baby, a toy pony, or a baby. That's all I really got.
And then the guys get guns, right? Because
Yeah.
they want to put them in the army.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I didn't even know none of that.
See,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Come over here and get in the camera real quick. Show you got the UZD shirt on right there. We got the youth down
Yo,
over
check
here.
it. When we went to that
got the-
festival that I told you, the Lincoln and Cumberland Fire Department, Police Department, they Target usually sponsors this event where they just give out free food, they give out prizes and everything. So he's walking by and guess what he sees? Your daughter. How do you got a UZD shirt on? She tells him.
Oh yeah.
Do you know my daddy?
Nah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I heard about that.
He
My
said,
mother
my
said
father's
that.
G's.
He said it like
I
that.
heard of him.
My father's G's. I know G's. We should start kicking one of your verses. Yeah, shadow boxing with the lights off.
My mother was more shocked than our haters, and more shocked than our haters. Like, how do you know about UZD?
I know, Rob.
Shout out to Barack Obama, Zoo Bullies family, the mighty Zoo. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of craziness going on in the world right now. A lot of subjects.
I just got chased by a lady on a walker on Broad Street.
Can you talk about that real quick?
Literally, she had a walker. She kind of
Why would
chased
she
me.
chase you? Was she like?
What
the hell you do, man?
I was outside the store talking to my boy, and she came over. She was like, "You know, my son is a real brethren champion." My boy was like, "Yo, I'm just talking to my boy. Can you step off?" She's like, "Why?" Blah blah blah. So we moved over. So we moved away from her, and she came back. And then he was like, "Yo, I'm trying to talk to my boy. I'm just walking over." Then she came back faster. And it was like, all right, I'll talk to you later. We're going to go. So I'm going to the car. She's like, I'm like, oh, damn. Like,
So she was getting really aggressive. What you about to like?
I don't know. I started laughing. I kind of like, get it up a little bit, high stepped it a little bit, you know what I'm saying? She was like,
Was she a bruja?
Was he Spanish?
She seemed Haitian. She like a Haitian
even
lady
worse.
type thing, you know what I mean? Like, she's like,
about to
hey,
do some
Haitian or
voodoo?
Jamaican.
Yep, some real voodoo on this kid.
About to go down like that?
Got chased by a lady with a walker, man.
At least you didn't get ran over.
I know, right?
A lot of those going on.
A lot of people get ready. I know, right?
Barcelona, like I've seen videos for the past couple of days.
People get ran over.
over.
Yeah, that's that new shit. People get mad, get into a fight, jump in their car, and run everybody over.
Shit's crazy.
You know, they like the fights, even the street fights. Like you see, like three girls fighting. There, the KK dude, he was bugging.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, he was tripping.
And only one person got arrested on her.
What for that?
He got arrested.
Out of those people that were protesting.
Yeah, something like that.
Somebody of ethnicity.
Yeah.
Everybody going down, getting hit with bean bags.
All type of. Look at these riffraff. They get called all kind of names.
That's a non-lethal way that they use rubber. Police officers use rubber bullets and beanbags and shit.
They gave them handshakes.
Know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Oh yeah, white people doing that kind of shit is
They
different.
got
unless they're like protesting for like ethnic people, then there's a little difference. Man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then there's the reality works a little differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they
It's funny that you guys are bringing that up because there's something after that that'll segue into the subject. But
they authorized the rally in Boston.
yeah. So
So
at the same time, people get all up in a anxiety or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, they get in their feelings about that, and I can understand that because people like because I don't like neo Nazis or Klans member either. But at the same time, like I don't know, I guess like the debate is like where do we keep the line of freedom of speech? You know what I'm saying? Like you might not like what somebody says. You might say it's preaching hate, but I get that. But at the same time, it's like, what do we get to pick? If we truly want a nation of freedom of speech, do we really get to pick and choose what people are allowed to say publicly?
you can't.
Not if you want to have real freedom of speech. It's hypocritical. It's like the
You got freedom of speech until we don't want you to say that.
yeah. It's
Exactly.
like Massachusetts. It's like why Roger Williams even founded our state of Rhode Island, right? You can have religious freedom. We want freedom from England as long as you're this, and this. That's not real freedom.
There is no real freedom. That's what I believe.
I mean, I believe that there's certain levels of freedom, but
Yeah.
I think that the general sense that we think
Money is
we're
freedom.
I mean, to a certain degree, because that could be
Kind
prison
of.
in itself.
Yeah.
Look at people that are miserable and become drug addicts and
and they're
Yeah.
rich. Yeah,
And-
there's a lot of
so-
stories.
so
of that
that's-
going on.
That's basically a
Prison in
prisoner prison to yourself.
it depends on who you are, right? Like if you
Yeah.
if you had a lot of money and you did certain things, it depends who you are. But what I just wanted to bring it back to was that like if we're gonna be so strong on things such as freedom of speech, can we do that and at the same time pick and choose who has the freedom of speech? Like I personally will fuck up a neo-Nazi or a skinhead, whatever that comes around me talking all that racial.
You seen Bum B run up on that dude?
No, I didn't.
There's a video.
I didn't even see that
Yeah,
either.
it was a video.
He's a professor and everything.
Yeah, I'm a professor. Yeah, he probably teach some professor classes. I wouldn't be
He's
surprised.
teaching in the hood
Yeah.
in Texas.
School
We
of
need
Hard
that.
Knocks.
We need that.
The school that everybody on Facebook goes to, the School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, School of Hard Knocks. So I mean, but what I'm saying is like, while I would whoop somebody like that's ass for doing some racist things in front of me, what I'm saying is people want to organize and they want to do that. I get that it's hateful, but then if that's not the truth and whatever we believe in is the truth, then we should speak with a louder voice. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like if what we say is the truth, you can't say like, oh, they try, like when we look at the media and things like that, you say, oh, well, they're trying to
Well,
blanket
the
the
people
truth.
that got ran over
this
was the
and that.
protesters of the protesters.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
The
So,
whole
I mean-
the whole thing to me was crazy. When I read up on it, I'm just like,
They're mad because they're taking down a statue
no
of
offense,
fucking
but if
Robert
it was
E. Lee.
another race doing
Trump
all of
had
that,
actually
you know what I
spoken
mean?
on that. Did you hear what Trump said about the statues?
Nah.
I got it right here. That's one of the things I wanted to talk about. I actually want to talk about something else first about the police, but we'll go right into that, okay? We'll go right into this Trump thing that I got over here. So it says Donald Trump is at it again. I'll read the brief little thing. Things continue to go from bad to worse for President Donald Trump. Following a white nationalist protest that turned ugly in Charlottesville, Virginia, Donald Trump sent out some very mixed signals in a two-way back-to-back statements last weekend. If it weren't enough for his detractors to get incensed over, he then undid any positive reinforcement by going off on what is now seen as a Nazi-defending tirade during a press conference in New York City on Tuesday. Now the President of the United States is back on the same train of thought, this time using guilt tactics to express his disappointment that symbols of Confederacy are being removed. In several tweets he posted on Thursday morning, August 17th, Donald Trump stated that he thought it was so sad that history and culture of the United States was being ripped apart by those who have been removing Confederate statues and other monuments devoted to honoring or celebrating values and traditions that are now seen by many Americans, at the very least, offensive to minorities. Trump also added that while you can't change history, you can learn from it. He applies the current line of thinking in terms of removing any physical manifestation or references that can be seen in public of Robert E. Lee or Stonewall Jackson to something that could harm the images of former President George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, both of these men who were also slave owners at one time in history. Donald Trump and his mini rant by saying that beauty in the cities where these statues and monuments are being removed won't be able to be comparably replaced. So basically, it looks like now a movement to remove Confederate symbols from the U.S. Capitol and buildings as well. So here, I want you guys to chime in on this, but here's my thoughts on this. I can understand Trump's point, even though I don't agree with it. I can understand it, right? Because that's how I look at, like, even though I come from a long Muslim history of being Muslim for many years, whether or not I claim that or I'm religious at this point is different, but I have a lot of years in the Islamic school of thought in the mosque and stuff like that. And I always, even though I don't like idols, right? Like, I don't like idols. I don't like when people worship false gods and false idols as other things than God, right? I don't like how some Muslims were, like, using, what do you call that? RPGs? To take out Buddhist statues in countries and stuff like that because they were trying to fight against idols the same way that Abraham did in the Bible, right? Like, who's the patriarch of all three monotheistic religions, Judaism, Islam, Christianity. So I don't like that. So I get what he's saying. But at the same time, there's a difference between somebody's religious symbols and glorifying people that enslaved people and benefited from it, right?
Yeah. Well, even that being said, I read something on Facebook earlier, and it was like the swastika was the symbol when Jews got the Holocaust.
But it has a bigger history.
I know, but how come there aren't any Jews that's outraged about these neo-Nazis, these white supremacists running around with swastika?
You know what I'm going to tell you? Because the Jews have built themselves up in this world to have such economic power and such a
they do have power.
Yeah, they do. Yep.
In their own country. No offense, but what the fuck do they care about a bunch of rednecks running around with machine guns that can't even touch them?
They don't.
They're more worried about the Palestinians with machine gun rockets next to them, not with some dude in fucking Tennessee
I'm
who
talking
sips
about
moose.
American Jews that run like.
I think because they don't even need to interact with them dudes. They have their own temples, their own communities. I'm saying, like, it doesn't really faze them. Like, if there was if you had a black community that was well off financially and doing great, and your family was doing great financially and physically, and you were eating well, and you had a strong community, yeah, and then there was like a group of like poor white trash dudes in a fucking what do you call that trailer park that was like, we can't stand these ends, this and that and that, and running around with crosses burning. Would you really give a fuck? No, because they're like down here.
Shut them
it's
down.
Like having a palace in the sky. You can't
all right, well, it's
it.
like what white people do to black people. When we go out and we say certain stuff, they shut us down. They don't like what the fuck
they do. Yep.
They shut us down because they can. We don't want to hear that shit. Shut up.
No, if you want to get shut down the fastest, be anti-Semitic. You want to get shut down the fastest? Say something anti-Jewish, like publicly. Then it's a rap.
So swastika is the fucking
the
symbol of anti-Semitism.
But these dudes are having rallies and they're unimportant. They're not making. Nobody gives a fuck.
But if they start having rallies all over the country, like
but they've been doing that but they've been doing those rallies since the fucking 70s, and nobody's running.
They took a little break,
and nobody's running around executing Jews or fucking with the economic power. Why would they care? Is what I'm saying.
It's true. Nobody does give a fuck.
Any big impact. Now, if the Jews and those whites had to live in the same neighborhood, oh, then it would make a difference. But they're not even in the same neighborhoods.
So all right, so like the Jews should
You
be
know what I'm
like
saying?
the Jews should that run the music industry should be like black people can make all the anti-white songs that they want.
I mean, they could, but there's a position of power with that. And you know, it's interesting because I actually have that segues into something else that I had about Spotify. Spotify is going to pull hate bands off their platform. Did you hear this?
Hate bands?
That's what they that's what it just that's the article. That was the article was titled.
What is a hate band though?
I mean, let me get into it. Let us explore. If you guys, anybody at home that's watching, whether you're watching the Facebook, you're watching the thing, if you want to chime in on the Facebook, you want to make a commentary, ask a question, this is an open forum we have.
Upset Rubber Band is a hate band?
So it says, I'm going to read it briefly. I'm not going to read everything. I'm going to skip over.
That's what you said last time. You read the whole thing.
Well, but you know there was a lot more.
Earlier
Earlier this week, we're going deep tonight on the Chop Shop. The deepest subject I haven't even brought up yet. I've been saving that one.
Oh, God.
Cash is coming out the closet. So earlier this week, Digital Music News posted an article titled, "I just found 37 hate bands on Spotify." And by the way, the Chop Shop Radio, by the way, the Universal Collective, is not for or against this article. I'm presenting it for journalistic purposes.
Disclaimer.
So just so you know.
That's a real disclaimer.
Yeah, that's the one we don't get sued. We don't want the Jews taking us off here. I'm sure our landlord's boss is a Jew. The article listed 37 bands that were deemed hate bands that spewed white supremacy in their music by the Southern Poverty Law Center. After finding these bands, the SPLC had pushed their campaign towards removing these groups off of iTunes. Whether they succeeds, times have changed since the campaign in 2014. Music has shifted in a new direction where people no longer download music but stream it instead. The article was posted by the Spotify Today, taking appropriate in the statement. The streaming service said they would be taking immediate. The streaming service said that they would be taking immediate action to removing content that incites hate. They said currently reviewing the remainder of these identified. The spokesman of Spotify also said illegal content and material that favors hatred and incites violence against race, religion, sexuality, or like is not tolerated by this. So does that mean they're going to take off every song in hip hop that says like bitch or I'm going to kill somebody? If there's some like death metal that goes I'm good to kill you, they're going to take that off? Are they taking that off? I mean, are we going across?
Like
this is the freedom of speech thing I'm talking about.
I mean, I think it's if it's
I'm a staunch defender of freedom of speech.
If it's like aimed at a certain group of people and is like I hate this or I hate this, I hate gays, I hate this and that. I mean, I can understand that, you know what I'm saying? But if it's just like I killed my landlord, you know.
But here's the problem. The reason why I'm such a staunch defender of the freedom of speech, Cash, the reason why I'm saying this is not because I agree with hate. I don't think hate should be spoken. But I think that we get through, it's a slippery slope once we sit by silently and allow them to take away somebody else's freedoms.
So I got a good one, right?
You know
so you're saying taking off stuff from the radio. So now that
but they're saying like they're saying on their streaming,
on
Spotify. Spotify is one application.
So it brings me back to NWA. Fuck the police.
Fuck the Pope, one of the greatest songs of all time.
So like. Now will we be running back to that now? You get what I'm saying?
So you're starting to get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. Here's my thing.
Well, let me say my take on it. It's like, all right, certain organizations can put certain rules and regulations on certain shit just so they can pick and choose what they want to regulate.
And this is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you.
So the line here's what I'm saying.
The line is blurred.
Here's what I'm saying about the line. Here's the line, right? Let me give you. This is not music related, but let me give you an example, right? My son's mother says I give horrible examples. I'm gonna try. They try to do different things, right? Like let's say like all right, we're gonna go like this. All right, we're gonna go after white supremacist hate groups and not allow them to have rallies. They're gonna spew hate and this and that, and then all black people get behind it. But then we try to do like a Black Panther reunion, and they say, well, that's the same thing, reverse racism, and now we can't commemorate Malcolm X. And Malcolm X wasn't a Panther, but he inspired most of the Panthers. But we can't praise Ernesto Che Guevara and our heroes, and we can't talk about Tupac because he was a thug and his music got to take off because he talked about thug life. So what I'm saying is that once you allow them a little bit of ground, it becomes a slippery slope. Yeah. And who are the people that are deciding in it? What is their fucking agenda?
But there's the
because
thing,
it's usually never in our direction.
Here's the thing, though.
Right? Those are people of color that are on below the poverty line. It's never in our favor.
Here's the thing, though, right? That's Spotify. That's Spotify. So if you got a problem with Spotify's plan, go to fucking Apple Music. You can go to fucking.
Oh, which, by the way, this is a little off subject. I'm on Spotify, by the way. NLQ. That's Perez.
But doesn't that? But what I'm saying, Cash, I'm not saying that if Spotify does this,
They're gonna hurt themselves.
there goes our freedom. There goes our freedom. What I'm saying though is that we have to. If you want to be a real American, and when I say real American, I don't mean that patriotic bullshit that picked up a flag. I'm talking. Yeah, Hulk Hogan's a real American.
He is.
Hulk Hogan is one of the realest Americans there is.
Yep.
So he represents real America. He's fake but real at the same time.
And he hate niggas too.
And he hate niggas.
Well, he don't hate niggas. He don't like his daughter dating.
Yeah. You know what? There's a lot of people that are not. They don't dislike people. They just want them banging their daughter. So you know, like I like me and I like my boys, but I wouldn't want none of them dating my sister. So. And it ain't because they're black; it's because they're assholes. So, what I'm saying, Cash, is that if you want to have a real freedom and you want to talk about real shit, like let's get real here. We're gonna say we real. Like let's talk about real shit. The reality of the matter is, if you want freedom of speech, you have to be willing to let people that you totally disagree with speak.
Oh
Yeah.
But where's the line though? Like if we say let those racist fucking coward cocksuckers spew their hatred, we speak with a louder voice because you wanna talk all this like where they people of color are inferior and this and that. The reality of the matter is you created your own problem. You brought people here as a slavery. Now all your kids want to be us. They want to be people of color. All these white kids using the word nigger and wearing baggy clothes and interbreeding with us and this and that and different nationalities. So I understand why you feel like your culture's threatened. Because it is. You created your own problem. You brought this here, and now it's fighting back against you. And now, years later, some of their descendants want to be niggas. So, it'll all fix itself out.
Yeah, you got a point. It'll
all work itself out. I mean, you see a lot more white kids trying to be ethnic looking and sounding than you see. Like the only black people that or ethnic people that you really see acting per se white, and let's not get into that because it's a whole nother conversation what that is. You know what I'm saying? It's not talking sophisticated. I mean just acting like you're not part of that race or looking down at them. Saying acting white, right? Like acting white are the people that live in suburbs, right? That are brought up in suburbs, are brought up mostly around white people, so they act a certain way. But white kids in the ghetto, like white boy Johnny from Chad and shit, they're like us because they grew up around us. But then you got all these kids in the suburbs that ain't never been around it. They want to be ethnic people too. It's just like Paul Mooney said, nobody likes a nigga, but everybody wants to be one.
Nobody want to be a nigga. Nobody want to be a nigga, but everybody want to be a nigga.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. So the point, So the point is that. I find it interesting.
Everybody want to be a nigga when it's cool. When it's cool.
But what I'm saying is like,
listen, when it's cool,
fun,
yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
When the cops roll up, woo, you back.
I mean, and that's the thing. But I think that's the criticism that people have against people. Like, you can wear braids and wear a baggy shirt, but then you can cut your hair and go in corporate America. We got to stay color.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like the whole Blue Lives Matter shit. Yeah, motherfucker, blue life is a fucking choice. You
don't wake up and you're not born blue, even if your family is a police officer. You're born your ethnicity.
You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have a fucking. You black, you don't have a fucking choice.
Yeah, but you're born. I mean, you're born exactly. And being a point of reference of all of this, it's like this. You know what I mean? It's like this. Like I don't agree with the Ku Klux Klan and the neo Nazis, but I understand them. They feel like their nationality is under siege because so many mixed kids and this and that. And while I am a product of and have children that are multi-ethnic, right? Because I have blood relatives that are, I have a half Chinese sister. I have cousins that are half Dominican. I have cousins that are half black. Cousins that are half Puerto Rican. I have family that are half Portuguese. I have family that's half Italian, half Irish, and all blood. Not, oh, that's my family. No, blood family. So that means black, white, Latino, and Asian. I have blood relatives that are at least half, right?
Well, I got a sister that's half white, half Puerto Rican.
There you go. So you understand what I'm saying. But what I'm saying on a bigger scale of it is that we're all interconnected, we're all interbreeded. And while I don't like that racist shit, I can like I'm saying, even though I'm a mixed person, and I don't have a problem with it, I don't think that everybody should have mixed kids because then your nationality would cease to exist. If everybody was Puerto Rican interbred with people that were white and then they went with people that are white and then with people who were white, everybody, then there would be no more Puerto Ricans. Just be no blacks and no whites. I get it.
First of all, nobody in America is pure anything.
No, but
that
concept, makes people feel comfortable. So we don't want to smash that illusion because then people will be ready to They went they're gonna be like Uncle Ruckus in the
you know,
Boondocks. You
there's
Uncle
no-
Ruckus in the Boondocks when
yeah.
you found out he was 110% black.
There's no place where called white land or like black land where it's like black or white. You know what I mean? It's like black and white is a fucking color.
And it's a concept because if you close your eyes, everybody's the same. And if you ever seen that thing with the
I mean, if you go to another country and you ask somebody what they are, they're
ever
gonna
seen
tell
that
you. They're gonna tell you I'm Russian.
You ever seen that
I'm
picture of the
this,
skeleton?
I'm that. Nobody's gonna say I'm white.
You ever seen that picture
I'm
of a
black.
skeleton?
You know what I mean?
You ever seen that
you know
meme?
what black and white means?
It's a color.
No, it means that you're mixed with every fucking.
Yeah, I
thing.
mean, even like
you're mixed. You're
to
mixed.
say
there's no place. Like I said, there's no place called white land or black land. It's fucking America, and nobody walks around and say I'm American.
There's
like
there's no Afro having.
No.
Okay.
Nope. Right. There's no Afro. There's no Afro America.
Afro America.
There's no place to call Afro America.
But they do call the lower part of Mesoamerica. Mesoamerica. Back in the day, it was an Indian and all that shit. So, but what I'm saying is this: is like
Mez was corn, right?
That's maize.
Maize. Okay. All right. Cool.
That's all right, though. I'm here to educate. So, what I'm
Good call.
What I'm saying is what it comes down to is this. This is what I'm saying, people. Is
Damn,
that
Kash,
if there was a racial,
I was close.
if there was he was close enough. If there was a racial war and I had to choose sides, it would be complicated. But I'll tell you this: I don't care if it was the blacks, the whites, whatever. Whoever was doing the oppressing, that's
whoever
why
was winning.
Yeah,
that's what
nah, whoever's winning.
How many y'all guys? Easy.
Who's winning?
Said
How many y'all got over
2,000
there? Who got the most guns? I'm with y'all because I roll with everybody.
Equal opportunity.
Equal opportunity racial situation. But what I'm saying is that I understand how people could be worried about their ethnicity getting wiped out because there is a lot of mixing. But like you said, there really is no one thing if you get technical with it. Like anybody can say, yo soy Boricua, right? You know what I'm saying?
Para que sepa.
Like yo soy Boricua, right? Like I'm Puerto Rican, right? And it'd be like 3 people. And if you did a DNA test on all 3 of them, one would be different. One would be more African, one would be more Taino, and one would be more Spaniard. Because to say Puerto Rican is nothing.
With a little bit of European, and each one of them have a little bit of European in them.
Because Puerto Rico means what? What does Puerto Rico mean? It means rich port. And that's what the Europeans gave the name of them. And the Tainos were not wiped out. They were interbreeded with the Spaniards. And then you got places like Loíza, where tango is from, where the African slaves came. And that's why from that part of Puerto Rico,
darker, yeah.
you got the darker, and everybody Puerto Rican has a Tío Negro, right? So what I'm saying is without the knowledge of your history, people that get all caught up in race too much are the people that usually don't have a real good grasp on history. Right? Yeah. But I can understand why they're afraid. So really, to wrap it all up, and we can move on, what I really want, unless you guys want to have any final points on this, what I really want to say is that I don't have to. There's this saying, and I'm probably gonna fuck it up because I always fuck them up. I've always fucked sayings up. Always fuck them up. But
every time.
I'm gonna get it mostly right. Let me try. Hold on.
Every time he fucks it up.
Every time. I'm gonna try. You ever seen that guy? You watch that movie Boondock Saints, and they got the old Irish guy, and he messes up swears. He goes, "Why don't you make like a tree and fuck off?"
You mother bitch.
So 2 things I wanted to say, and I'm gonna make an end point. What I wanted to say is that there's an old saying that says, how do you say it? It says, "I don't agree with what you're saying, but I'll fight to the death for your right to say it." Think about what. Let me say it one more time. I don't agree with what you're saying, but I'll fight to the death for your right to say it.
I might go home and think about that one right there.
Yeah.
It's deep, right?
That's
because it took me. I understood it, but
because you're not gonna learn nothing. You're not gonna learn shit if everybody thinks the same way that you think.
Yeah,
that's true. I believe in that one.
Yeah, and if you don't listen to people, like a lot of people want to talk and tell what their side is before they listen to the other person's side. Yep. You're not gonna learn shit like that. You know what I mean? You're not gonna learn anything.
That's why I always like to listen. Like,
yeah, listen.
Even being here, and I listen to you guys, I learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I always like to listen. I talk, listen. But not everybody can do that.
Nah, but a lot of people are just sitting back waiting to say what they're gonna say. They wait for you to finish so they can say what they gotta say.
They bypass everything you're saying, and then they want to go and go straight to the point. They don't.
No one person has it. No man is an island. No man stands alone. Even though I talk a lot. But it might not seem like it, but I listen a lot. Most of the things that I learn and I say to people are things that I observe and I listen from other people. Because there's a lot of times, like for instance, like some people were giving me, more than one person is giving me feedback about me and you. I've had the feedback from at least 2 people whose opinions I trust and I value, and they're both very intelligent people. And they're both women actually, and it was interesting because women are more in tune with certain things. And they said to me, you and Kash have an interesting formula, right? Because they said that we balance each other off. Because I'm the one that's always up here, and he's always the one on the ground. Like, I'm the one that like believes in the unbelievable, and he's the one that's like, nah, hold up a minute.
Yeah.
But like sometimes when I'm like, oh, this is possible, he makes me stop and be like, you know what? Realistically, it's not. And then other times I make him realize, no, that really is possible. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that dynamic is what makes the show and our friendship. But whatever we do on the show, you've seen us off the show. This is what we do.
Yeah.
24 hours a day. Like, this is how we office boy by ourselves. Like, this is not an act. This is not a character.
Yeah, this ain't no. That's what I like about the show. That
Which
you guys
does.
are pure real. You know what I
which
mean?
does, yeah.
There's no pretending here.
Yeah. So the point that I'm trying to make is that balance. The whole how it relates is that balancement is that Kash and I have, even though we're both strong alpha males, we've both humbled ourselves to learn from each other and become better people. So hopefully other people can do that.
I think I'm only alpha male sometimes. I don't think.
You're not as much as me.
Why sometimes?
Not as much as me.
I need to know why sometimes.
If it's needed to be, man, I'll just be like,
I think I'm more of it because I'm the spokesman for our group, so I kind of have. I don't have a choice.
You got that like you're.
I'm the spokesman.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
I'm the
If I
official
get-
spokesman of the group.
If I get fed up with what's going on, I'm like, man, everybody shut the fuck up. And this is what's gonna
Okay,
happen.
see, I could be like that sometimes.
You know
too.
what I'm saying? Like,
shut the
if
fuck
it's
up.
called for, like, man, this is some bullshit, and this is what needs to happen, blah, blah, blah. I'll stand up and do that. And then if motherfuckers don't like it, then we can, whatever's going to happen. But normally speaking, like, if everybody's going to find and I ain't got to say nothing, I ain't going to say shit. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's really not. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I think it is. It's crazy because, like, sometimes they'd be like, the loudest person in the room is always this and that. But that never applied to me because, like, I always ended up being the guy around a bunch of quiet dudes that I kind of had to speak for, even before all of this. What we're doing now.
So you used to it already.
Yeah, I've always had to speak for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not that it might seem like I'm comfortable in it, which I am, but in reality, I don't always like it because it's a big burden to speak for a lot of people.
It is.
You speak for yourself, you're only reliable for yourself. You speak for a group of people.
That's hard. That's a lot of pressure right there.
When I talk, I'm talking for multiple people on a level of 9 countries and 6 states. So when I talk, I represent that. Like, you know what I mean? Not that they agree with everything I say, but so it's a fucking burden. But anyways, so one thing I wanted to talk about real quick was I respect Puffy, but I also have a lot of issues with him. But I want to say that I respect.
I might like this subject.
I respect that. He's been more vocal about politics and issues of the last few years, and it was this one thing that I was looking up. I meant to actually read this. I meant to read this a couple of weeks ago on the Chop Shop, but I didn't get it. This is Puffy spoke out a couple of weeks ago. He was talking about the consistent issue of young black males getting shot by police officers, which, as we all know, unless you've been hiding under a rock, right? Even people in other countries, all our peoples that are watching right now from, you know what I mean, all over. Shout out to the Naughty North team over in New Zealand. Shout out to Cap Z. He shared this video. That means a bunch of people in New Zealand are gonna see this. Gabriella. Shout out to everybody that's watching. You know what I mean? Fire Nation, everybody. You know what I'm saying? Zoo Bullies family, everybody that's tuned in. C-Dub, everybody all across the globe. Pop Sounds, everybody. But anyways, I've noticed that more people have been starting to come out and say things. So here's the thing on Puffy real quick, and then we can talk about it real quick. Police-related deaths. Today's a political day for Chop Shop. Police-related deaths of black Americans and a lack of repercussions have become human rights issues, according to a quote by Sean Diddy Combs. In a recent interview with the Daily Beast, the hip-hop mogul spoke about the death of Philando Castile and a subsequent acquittal of the officer responsible for his death, dubbing it's the new normal, meaning that like that's how it goes. Like people are not even shocked anymore. He also spoke on the correlation between being a witness to act. This is interesting. Check this out. You check this out. He also spoke on the correlation of being a witness to acts of police brutality and post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD.
Oh, I could relate to this.
Because a lot of people associate PTSD with being only a war veteran.
Yeah, but actually, regular people have it too.
No. He was saying that Puffy was not. Unlike other people, Puffy didn't just say, yeah, police brutality is bad. He actually got deep with it and was like, what about the post-traumatic stress disorder that young black people see by seeing another young black person shot down?
Exactly. Yep.
Right? Because we don't, but think about it. Shout outs to Puffy, because we don't talk about that. We talk about how fucked up it is the cops shoot people.
Right.
But what about the psychological long-term effects to the youth and the family members that actually are there when it happens? What about the 16-year-old black kid that's sitting there watching his friend get shot by another cop. What does that do to him psychologically, right?
Exactly.
How does that affect him? But
It's
shout out to
traumatic.
Puffy
It's
for even
traumatic
bringing
to
it
see
up,
that.
though. Shout out to Puffy for even bringing
No,
it to the
seriously,
table.
shout out to Puffy for that one because
I
it
told
is
you.
traumatic. And then now, because you know I suffer from PTSD, and I'm not afraid to say it. I said it last 2 weeks
we
ago.
talked about it, yeah.
So the thing is, when you're suffering from PTSD, you're automatically, I don't want to say you're fucked up for the rest of your life, but you're going through heavy shit. Now you got to go through therapy. You got to find yourself. You got to figure shit out. And it's not a fun place to be at.
Right,
like
'cause-
you get the flashbacks. You
And
start
what about,
feeling like
and
you're
what about the
you can't-
negativity you
you
put
can't
on to
control
other
it.
people you love?
Exactly. Yeah. You
There's
take it
that-
out on the
there's
people
that-
you love. You don't know who you are anymore. Even a loud noise like that, you'll jump. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially in a situation
in
like
anxiety.
that. So it puts you in a very stressful state of mind. You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
It's not an
because-
easy place to be.
It's
in.
crazy because I would think I was talking to my brother about this the other day, and it was like your brain can make you see whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? You can look over there and see something, and it's like even if it's not there, you see it. It's there. You know what I mean? It's like it's your brain can make shit happen that's
Now
not really there.
they call that you just reliving the moment.
Yeah,
And now you gotta.
It's like a veteran hearing incoming.
Yep, and they're reliving that moment. And now you got to find a way to get yourself back. You get
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is not just a one week this will take months for somebody to get better on. And now you got to think about now they don't want to, not everybody want to take medication, but now you need something to get the edge off.
Yeah.
Cuz if you don't get the edge off, now you lead to drinking. I know all about it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It leads to something else, right? Yeah.
That's how most people with PTSD become addicts.
Yeah.
With drinking, drugs. They're trying to find a place
for a
to be
cure.
at. It's
Yeah.
all avoidance of the situation. You get what I'm saying? So no, they don't think about that. The traumatic things that the kids are going through.
Shout out
you know
to
what I
him
mean?
for even, like I said, I have mixed opinions about Puffy, but shout out to him.
Puffy's a
for
gangster, man. Puffy's
even-
a
but
hood
shout
dude,
out to-
man.
but
Entrepreneur
shout out
right
to
there.
him for even doing that though and saying that. Like I'm saying, like I respect that he, like I said, people might not agree with that, or they might think that he's not on the up and up. But the fact is that when a millionaire person takes the time to say shit like that, you gotta respect it.
Yeah, you do.
You know what I'm saying?
I
And
agree.
people don't sometimes. They're like, oh, well, what does he know about it? First of all, Puffy is a mogul, and he's been rich a long time, but he's been poor and black too. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
He didn't start out rich. He started out as a fucking backup dancer and carrying crates for motherfuckers. So even though I have my issues with Puffy, and I personally wouldn't fuck with the dude, I respect him for bringing the females back into hip hop, and I respect him for having this commentary. So let me finish this real quick. So where were we at? He says, I didn't really listen. Check this out, and this is deep. Puffy said, and I from reading a couple of different interviews, because when I bring something, I'm just reading you a brief thing, but I did more research into it. It seemed like he was really emotional and really serious about this. He said, with like a tone in his voice, he said, I didn't really understand the new normal until the day before yesterday when the cop who shot Philando, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name, Philando Castilli was acquitted, Diddy said. I was like, Instagram's not even jumping about this. He said, this is such a new normal that it's not even a major thing right now.
That's another thing I was thinking about too.
That's
So
that's
if
that's
at first like
really, really bad.
at first like
Yeah, it is.
That's really bad.
if you do anything over and over again, it's gonna and you have to sit there and watch it and accept it. It's gonna get diluted, right?
Yeah.
No matter what it is, you gotta just watch it. Like after a while, it's gonna be like intense. Then after, I had to take the court. At first, it's gonna be intense. Just moving down. Just moving down. Just move. At first, it's gonna be intense, but after a while, at first it's gonna be intense. Then after a while, it's gonna be diluted, and it's gonna be, it's gonna be like it's not gonna.
And
be
you're gonna
sensitive.
get
It's not gonna be a
desensitized.
sensitive. Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be desensitized.
I was just talking about that.
And then maybe that was the goal. Maybe if we do it so much,
Desensitized, and it's shown in the media. You mean like
yeah,
a tactic?
Maybe yeah, tactic. Like maybe
Like
if we
a
do it,
tactic?
like maybe if we do it so much, and after a while, it's gonna keep happening. Nobody's gonna care. I mean, people gonna care. Then after a while, it's gonna be like, it just happened again. Up another one. What's this one's name? Before we remember all their names, we remember all the situations. We watched all the videos.
And now I can't keep track.
Exactly. Now you can't keep track. So now it's like, that's another one. I
And you
got time.
become, like you're saying, like you become desensitized.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy is real briefly an intersection. I had that conversation about how desensitized to violence and craziness New York City people are. I had that conversation today at work with a coworker. I was talking about how I love New York so much, and some of my closest friends are from New York. Some of my like closest and dearest to my heart people are from New York City, right? But New York is so fucked up and have seen so much shit that New Yorkers are so desensitized. And
I gotta agree with you on that one.
And it's bad. And I'm gonna tell you how bad it is, real briefly, from a brief experience. I'm not gonna go into the whole story, but there was at one point in time where I was going to visit a friend in the North Bronx. I was living in Philly at the time, so I took the bus from Philly to New York. I was living in Philly, so it was like, I don't know, hour and 20 minutes on the bus. Took the bus. No, it was shorter than that. The bus, right? It was like it really wasn't even 2 hours. It was less than that.
It doesn't even matter how long that
They're
was.
gonna get me off. He knows how to get off base. So basically, this is not me taking a jab at New York City because there's at least like 5 or 6 people that are dear to my heart that were born and raised in New York City. So what I'm saying is that I'm just talking about the desensitization, right? About it. So it's not a criticism of New York City. I love New York. I've lived out there for weeks at a time. So anyways, because Jesus over here looking at me like I better not say nothing about the Bronx.
Because next time he go over there, he gonna get a bag over his head.
Hey, what's that over there?
So this is just a commentary on how this is a commentary that relates.
Can it play? Throw it back.
Yo, light skinned dudes is making a comeback. Shout out to Drake. Yo, so what I'm saying is that this is really just an example of desensitization. So I'm on a train, and there's this gang member dude, right? I know he was a gang member because he had a lot of beads on and shit, right? He had like all red on and red and black, like a blood gang member, and he was a really big black dude. Must have been like, I don't know, like close to 6 feet, like 300 pounds.
10 feet black.
No, I'm being serious.
He
I'm
was
being
the
dead
size-
serious.
he was the size of
This
the Empire State Building.
Seriously, this dude was not an average sized dude. He was a lot bigger than a regular sized guy. So he's on the I think he was on like some type of drugs. He wasn't just regular because he was giggling to himself and everything. But so he's standing there on the train, and I'm sitting on the train, and I'm on my way to go see my friend, and I'm traveling through a part of the North Bronx or whatever, heading to the North Bronx, and I'm in an area of the Bronx I'm not familiar with because I've lived in New York for weeks at a time, but I don't know every area of New York. It's people from New York that don't know. Yeah, people that lived in New York their whole life.
It's true.
People that live their whole life.
Still don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. So I was in unknown territory on my way to like get off this stop and go here and this and that. So I'm in the train, whatever train goes to North Bronx or whatever, and I'm on it, and then the black blood gang member dude says to this dude sitting there, like a white dude who looked kind of, and it was fucked up because the guy looked kind of slow to me, and he says to the guy, "Yo, you got a problem?" And the dude goes, "No." And the dude's mad little, like, and the dude's like over him, like, "Are you got a problem?" And I'm like, "Oh shit!" I'm just sitting there like, "Oh God, like what the hell?" And he's like, "You," because I've been to New York, you know what I'm saying? I've been to New York when there's been blackouts. I've been to New York where gunshots have gone off. I've walked through most of the like real crazy projects in New York, so I've seen some shit. So, but this even surprised me, right? But here's the fuck. Yeah, exactly. I've been around gunshots and shit in New York City. I've been there when the blackout happened all night. Like I've seen some wild shit, but this fucked me up. It didn't fuck me up because of what happened. It fucked me up because of the reaction of the people. That's what fucked me up. So the guy goes, "You got a problem? You got a problem? You got a problem?" And the dude's like, "Oh no, I don't got a problem. I don't got a problem. I don't got a problem." Dude goes, "Whatever." He does a whistle, and another blood walks over because he had the same black and red beads on, red shirt, black whatever. You know what I'm saying? We're in New York. I knew they were, bloods or whatever. Here I am from Rhode Island, living in Philly, wearing all blue,
Scared to death.
wearing all blue and shit.
Scared out of his mind.
Yeah, not at all. Actually, I'll be honest with you. If this had happened in Philly, I think it would have went down a little differently. I'm gonna be straight up with you. I'll put that on my kids. Like this would have went down a little differently. But I was in an unknown territory, and it's none of my business.
Not really
in a
your
sense.
business, though.
But at the same time, but here's the fucked up part. Let me just wrap this up. So we get to the stop. We get to a stop, and the black dude grabs the bar. Anybody who's been on the subway knows that there's a bar right across. He grabs the bar and he like kind of football kicks the slow looking dude in the face, and then he gets off the train. Now here's the fuck. That's fucked up, but that's not the worst part of the story. The worst part of the story is when it happened, I was the only one who looked. There were people like this. Look, there were people like this.
Let me explain to you why. Like I always said this, right?
But there wasn't even like shocked or
Hey, listen.
thrown off.
Listen.
So that's my point about desensitization.
Let me explain something to you. That's not desensitization, right?
What is it then?
I always said this. I wish I had a video of me saying it before. But the end of a fight is the most dangerous part of a New York fight, right?
Yeah.
Cause like you'll see some niggas in New York beat some motherfuckers up. Then after the fight, like, yeah, well, what you looking at, nigga? You want some too? Psh, you catch a piece of that too.
Yeah.
Just for looking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And motherfuckers see that. Motherfucker fight is over. And
So you're saying that you don't think it's desensitization? You think it's fair?
No, I'm saying it's not fair. What I'm saying is it's a direct effect of you might get your ass kicked too when the nigga's mad after you kick somebody in his face and you're looking
right
and you're like, what the?
What I'm saying
coming right at you after that.
But what I'm saying,
I see niggas jump a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Walk down the crowd of niggas looking like, you looking at motherfucker? You want some too?
Yeah.
Beat this nigga up. You looking at?
No, and I don't disagree
New
with
York,
that. True.
After the fight's over, you look away. You don't look at the niggas that just whipped the ass because you will be next.
Yeah, because it's like you're witness to what they just did.
Trust me. I've always said this.
I'm not arguing that point, but what I'm saying is that even if you,
that's a part of it.
If you were in
part
Providence and that happened,
I see.
people would at least look.
Listen, Providence.
I'm not saying interfere. I'm saying they would at least look.
Listen,
these people didn't.
Let me explain something to you.
They didn't even look.
Providence is the capital of reckless eyeballing.
Yeah, it is.
Period.
Yeah, it is.
These niggas crash cars because they watching the crash that already happened.
Yeah, that's true. This is true.
Because they don't get their ass kicked enough.
Yeah, it's true. You're right. There needs to be more ass whoopings.
They don't get that confrontation.
Exactly.
They don't.
And New York has a more aggressive, confrontational type of
I
mentality.
gotta say, New Jersey's the same way.
Oh, New Jersey's probably worse.
Next to New York.
New Jersey's like 10 times.
They might be worse.
Yeah.
As
you can see, look at my shirt too.
They feel like they gotta step up because they're right near New York, and they know what it is. They know what it is with New York and all of that.
Yeah, man, these niggas be charged up, man. When niggas are charged up, anybody can get it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's it. But anyways, the point that I was trying to make is desensitization.
One day I was walking. No, I was on the train. It said next stop Brooklyn Bridge. It was like an express train. I was like, oh shit, I gotta get off. Don't know where I got off at, but I got off. I was like around 138th Street over there by the skate key. So I'm just like walking, trying to get to like Cypress where I was going at. And some dude like way ahead of me, but I was just walking and all that. He's like, why you following me for? like that. I'm like, I ain't following you. I'm over there. He's like, you sure you ain't following me? I'm like, dude, I'm not following you. I'm going my way. He was like, cause I was about to pull out my blade. I was like, yo, so hostile. Like, you don't know. And he was just like a bum dude. You know what I'm saying? But he don't know what could have came his way.
Yeah.
Cause he's at the bottom of the totem pole. What happened to his ass just because. The nigga just because he don't have nothing to give, and they just want to mess with the dude. That's what they do on Halloween.
Yeah, I'm gonna test this.
On Halloween it's go around with a sock with rice and batteries and slingshot dudes in the face, and it usually be crackheads, bums, anybody less fortunate.
That's why I hate Halloween.
You're like, oh my god, yo.
That's why I hate Halloween.
Detroit, they set abandoned buildings on fire.
That's the day before Halloween.
That's the day before Halloween.
That's the day before Halloween.
Yeah, that's Chicago's like trademark right there.
No, that's Detroit. I lived in New York when I was a kid, and that's the reason why I hated Halloween all the time. Because, like I said, Halloween was fucking dangerous. Niggas throwing frozen eggs.
They don't even
frozen boiled eggs.
Halloween in Jersey was so like the Bloods over there, the gangs over there on Halloween, I guess, is initiation night. So we didn't get to enjoy Halloween. No. Halloween was so fucking dangerous. I couldn't walk down my street and just go trick or treating as a kid. You seeing people getting killed, or you seeing the cops rolling up. You know what I mean? Halloween was not like
I hated Halloween.
My favorite kind of holiday. Yeah. But I can't. When I was out there, I couldn't enjoy that.
I hate Halloween for that reason.
I couldn't enjoy that shit.
In the daytime, you gotta go to supermarkets.
Yeah, you gotta go to regular store.
It's sad.
You gotta go to corner stores.
Knock on somebody's door.
You gotta go to corner stores.
So, geez, let me ask you a question.
You couldn't buy eggs if you wasn't of age. If you was like 16, they not selling you eggs more.
During that day, yeah.
You gotta be an adult to be like, listen, I'm buying eggs like for my family. If you're a kid, you ain't getting eggs, bro.
And not to mention that, some back in the day they had like a lot of the candy had razor blades in them.
Yeah.
Yo, but who does that though?
Who does
that?
Not only that, they was putting razor blades in candies, and they was taking like the candies that had like tattoos, like the little tattoos you put the water on, LSD.
Why would you? Why?
So kids go home, put these little tattoos on them, and fucking tripping their balls off.
I feel bad because I'll whoop one of my kids' ass and have to apologize.
Just because.
I ain't never to see it again.
You go home, you ready to eat a candy, you probably get slapped for putting a candy in your mouth because your mom didn't go through them.
I have to whoop my daughter Ailea's ass.
Anything unopened, you just going out the door.
It was weird because in my crib in Brooklyn, it was like a backyard type thing. I mean, it was like a bunch of, like the block was kind of like obviously squared.
Brimstone kind of.
When it was like a little backyard, and they had trees and they had like stuff like they had little crab apples and stuff like that growing on the trees and shit. The back
Is that the shit with like the little green shit you can't eat, but you can throw them?
Yeah, you could do. And we used to.
little
know what you do?
like
We used to get. I was terrified of heights, so I was terrified still. But these niggas used to get crates of apples, crab apples, or whatever, climb up to the roof
and launch them.
Freeze them.
Yeah, to watch out for glass bottles being thrown off the roofs. Yeah, to watch out for everything. Everything. Oh, that too. I've got hit. I'm walking to this building. I get hit in the leg. Oh shit! What the fuck? Where that came from? My son, brother. You got an orange look. You don't even know where it came from.
You look up like 4 more coming.
Like, yeah. Until you chilling in the dude's crib and he pull out the paintball, he starts shooting other people. You
and then you can run.
This nigga.
And then you can run. You can run 4 blocks away on the roof. You can be on this. You can be right here and be on the roof and run to fucking Saki's and not cross streets, but obviously you can get to a different part of the where you're at on the roof. You can be on a whole different fucking block. Mm-hmm. You can't even get caught. Connected. You know what I mean? You can be on one roof, go to this roof around the block, go in the building, and go to somebody's house. You know what I'm saying? You can't fucking. It's just ridiculous, man. That shit was crazy.
Jeez, let me ask you a question.
I'm saying, in each building there are like each floor. They have their utility room where the housing keeps their stuff. Yeah. There was one skeleton closet. We used to have all bikes in there. Every single bike. Bikes on the street get ripped apart for handlebars, for pieces. People coming outside with the little mini bikes with some big ass seats. Papa Willie and the whole block. You like, yo, that's my bike. Like, you get your bike stolen. Like 50 Cent, when 50 Cent said, woke up the next morning, that nigga stole my bike. That shit was real, man. You wake up and your joint is gone. Just find out that they just stripped it and threw it on 3 different bikes.
I'm not gonna lie, I was one of those kids.
I was too, though. Ask my man Schemo. My man Schemo in Maryland, he could tell you, man. We had the skeleton closet like, yo, crazy.
Confessions.
Crazy. We was doing mechanic work.
That was the prelude to stealing cars.
Yeah, that was when you was underage because people was doing other stuff, taking Honda like side mirrors and you know what I'm saying?
I knew people that were going around just stealing car stereo.
Yeah, certain pieces get certain value. Yep. You take the left mirror of a Honda, you bring it to the junkyard. These dudes giving like $50-$60. You like.
You just take the whole fucking car and bring it to the shop.
Yeah.
What's that shit called? The little bar on that.
The Slim Jim.
I always thought it would be funny if somebody stole your car and left the club.
The club. Yeah, the club.
No, I would think it would be funny if somebody stole your car and left the club on the ground.
No, left the club on your steering wheel, motherfucker. Drive with that bitch.
Yo, my step granddad. When I was going to church days, he used to come with some joint that hit the. It was not like the club because the club just hits the handlebar. Yeah. He used to have some joint that hit the brake. He used to put a padlock and the club. Yeah, he used to put some joint that he's like, damn, it's like that. He had a caddy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Well, now people putting shit on their tires. So now
oh yeah.
Take the whole tire off and bring a new tire. Now
they put the boot. If they got good rims, they put the boot on their own self.
People are still getting the boot though.
Just so you don't take their joint, they put the boot on themselves.
Yo, people are still getting the boot. Yo.
Yeah.
People put the boot on themselves.
On themselves, Mo. If you got good rims and you don't want your joints jacked, they putting the boot on themselves.
I ain't never heard that.
You gonna take 3 of these motherfuckers. They get down.
You get outside, you taking out the club. You taking out
you know what I was telling? You know what I was telling one of my coworkers today? I was talking about how I had never realized until. We went to the RZA show and me, you, and Kash were walking around at like 5-6 in the morning and shit. Went to go on the White Castle.
On the Soundview side of New York.
They had the Soundview side. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Monroe. We was over there and shout out to White Castle. Shout out to White Castle. Everybody had the Everybody had the bumpers, the beaver bumpers in the car.
To open up a can of worms, right?
Because they back.
How we go to the store and he's mad because he can't get in. And they got the little window where you got to put your money in and you tell him what you want. He's like, I want to go in there. I'm like, Jay, nobody goes in there. You can no, Jay. I was like, you cannot go in there. Everybody knows that.
I'm not picking my shit from a window. Nah, I know over there.
It's serious. They ain't ready.
That way forever.
I was pretty fucked up though that night. I'm not gonna
We
lie.
went to 2 stores. It was like
Night,
You know what
5 o'clock in the morning.
You know what happened that night? You know what happened that night? It was a bucket list because you know what it was. We were drinking a bottle with the RZA that night. We were drinking a bottle and taking shots and shit from a bottle and getting fucked up that night. So it was a wild night. We was rapping with 60-Second Assassin. It was some like.
I said, "There's a white Cash right there." He said, "Where?" I was like, "Not that far, just right over the bridge."
We were drinking with the RZA and Papa Wu, Ninth Prince.
It was like
from,
6 o'clock and them 5 o'clock in
Killer
the morning.
Army, 60-Second Assassin.
It
From
looked
Sons of
like this
Man.
outside
We
in the morning.
was with Mook from Wu-Tang Management, DJ Ice, Wu-Tang DJ Coalition. Yeah, we was with the guards. We're in the room with a bunch of people that we grew up listening to, and we wasn't in there on some groupie shit. We were there as family. So we were turned up.
Yeah.
And then it was funny because that night we were so turned up that I was saying that we were so turned up that I watch what I say because Papa Wu called me up a couple weeks afterwards. Papa Wu was like, I had to figure out Nahbi. I try to understand why you was so extra animated that night and figure it out. And you was kind of wilding or whatever. And it's partly because I was really turned up. And I was about to be like, yo, my bad, Papa Wu. I'm sorry that I went into the behind backstage and I was wilding out. And he goes, but I understand what it was. And I was about to tell him myself, but I was really fucked up, Papa Wu. Before I got a chance, Papa Wu goes, you a radio show host, and that's your personality, and that's how you are on air.
So yeah, that's right.
I was like, yes, that's it, Papa Wu. And if you're watching, that's still what
It wasn't
it
all
is.
the mushrooms and crack we smoked.
It wasn't the ecstasy or the weed. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Papa Wu. You know what I'm saying? So
We get to my block and he's like, "There's no parking." I'm like, "Dude,
nah,
we got
motherfuckers, wait. It's funny. I was talking about that too. How when you live in New York City, motherfuckers with cars still take the subway because you had to wait 25 minutes to park.
They don't want to deal with that shit. They
But
don't
the
want to
good
deal
thing,
with that
we
shit.
getting good close to morning, so people getting ready to go to work. You know what I'm saying? If you end up going there around like 1, 2, you're gonna have to wait a while.
Yeah.
When I went over there, my pops passed away last year, so we went for his 1 year. You know what I'm saying? Send the kids upstairs. I'm chilling there with my wife in the car. I ended up falling asleep. Yo, she's like, "Babe, somebody just backed up." Boom.
Yeah.
Her skills, Nahbi, no, one shot. Boom.
The driving test is different. Is different in New York than it is
I
in
think
other
they
places.
got
Gotta be.
50 questions for the.
No, but it's
to get the
different.
permit.
Like the backing up and everything. That's what I'm saying. That's what I was talking about. Coworker with was that they got a beaver thing. It's like I'm walking around. I didn't even notice it because I was pretty turned the fuck up. We just came back and taking shots with a bunch of people that we really got love for, and we had a great night that night. We saw with people that we look up to for 20 years, and now we're in the same room as family. Like we was turned up. We saw the Ghostbusters vehicle go down the street. Like literally, it was the real Ghostbusters. And everybody, no.
Nobody
The
can pull out their
motherfuckers,
phone fast.
the motherfuckers
Nobody
dressed like the
can not pull it
Ghostbusters.
out. Yeah.
Nah, get the fuck out of here.
Driving down the street,
No, I wouldn't
banging
do
it,
that.
banging it, and
No,
then,
Manhattan.
and
Middle
people were
Manhattan.
like, we were about to walk into the RZA show, and people were like, "Did you get a picture?" No, motherfucker, they were driving 80 miles an hour, happened too fast. It was like this. It was like, din it.
Yeah. Was that the Ghostbusters?
Like, yo, did you
Really?
just see that
Whatever
shit?
happens in New York.
Yo, whatever happens in New York stays in New York, right?
I met a lot of celebrities in New York. Yeah.
Well, because they all interact over there. But the point, New York City's got the Nutcrackers.
Oh, I fucking love the Nutcrackers.
I haven't even had none of that yet.
Anybody out here scared of the Nutcrackers? They're like,
I mean,
"What's
it-
that?"
No
Well, I
way.
don't know what's in it.
I mean, it is a scary fucking
Nobody
concept.
knows what's in it.
Somebody
It's
making a
something
homemade
fun.
liquor
You
and
don't
putting
know
it in
what's in
and
it.
giving it to
But
you.
it gets you turned.
For those of you who don't know, a Nutcracker is a homemade alcohol thing that's put in a bottle and sold to you on the streets of New York City, and you don't know
Especially
what
in
the
the
hell.
parades. Especially in the parades.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The freaking
Juve.
parade, the
What the fuck you
Dominican
gonna
parade,
get?
the gay parade. You're gonna get a Nutcracker. This is what you want to get because you're gonna get turned the fuck up. Hey, I know all about it.
Yo, man,
You might crack a
fucking
nut afterwards.
what? Two Juves ago, we
Can you explain what Juve is briefly? Real quick?
Juve is the Labor Day parade, but for West Indian it's also the
Oh, that's in Boston, isn't it?
They have one in New
There's
York.
one
too.
all over. New York City has one, yeah.
They have one in Brooklyn, Eastern Parkway.
They call it the West Indian Festival in Boston.
Oh, okay.
It's the same thing.
Well,
but-
let's call it Juve. Let me call it Juve.
no, but in Boston it's called the West Indian Festival.
yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
You know, so we got a couple nutcrackers from reputable source, and
Reputable sauce.
yeah, you got to get your nutcrackers from reputable source because you don't know what's in them. So if you trust the person you get your nutcracker from, you know what I mean, you won't really have no worries about. Because I mean, some people use nutcracker. You know, they mix it with high end liquor.
They
Some
do,
people-
yeah.
some
It's
people-
like jungle
some
juice,
people mix
really.
It, some people
It's
mix
like
it with
jungle
cheap
juice.
liquor. So you know what I'm saying? You got to get your nutcracker from reputable source. So hey, James in the building. So it's me, my brother, my Gilman, George, who's And my
Gilman,
older
we fired Gilman, our ex-sound.
and my older brother, and we were all hanging out.
Donovan,
older brother Donovan.
shout out to Donovan, New Jersey.
And
Hey, New Jersey in the building.
we so we got one nutcracker, we drank it, and then we got another nutcracker. And I'm looking at this nutcracker.
Oh, you know what the thing about that is the sneak up juice too.
Oh yeah.
You start drinking it, and next thing you know, it
Listen.
hits you. I'm telling you, it hits you. Yeah.
Listen, I had the second
People
nut.
don't know that when they first try it, so now they on the
Because it tastes
street
good.
like,
Because it tastes good. Some of them have gummy bears at the bottom. Some of them got fruit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I'm looking at the second nutcracker like, you don't drink two nutcrackers. Like, yeah, I'm looking at this shit like, you know what? Whatever. Drink the nutcracker,
Oh,
man.
man.
Next thing you know, we walking down Juve. Right? We're literally bumping into each other like, yeah. Boop. Yeah. Boop. I was like walking down the street like, yo, we're wrecked, right? The parade didn't even start. We went out there like 12 o'clock. We was out there all night. So by the time 7 o'clock came, second nutcracker, we're done. You know what I'm saying? It was like, yo, we got to go. We were literally bumping into each other walking down the street. Literally like, boop, boop, boop. So we get in the car. We're all done. And George is driving. And we get in the car. And George is, it went on. So George is driving. And we all immediately passed out. We all got in the car. We're like, we all linked. And George is driving around the block a couple times. He's like, yo, Cash. You gotta put the address on your phone. I go like this. We wake up. We at the crib. We all knock out or whatever. So the next day we about to leave or whatever, and my sister came over and she was like, "You guys get the GPS locked in under that?" My brother goes, "They don't need GPS. They got George." Like,
He got it anywhere though.
like yo.
George is like a living GPS.
yeah. He made it. Like we was destroyed. He drank two nutcrackers too, but he knew he had to drive, so he was focused.
Drank
So he
two
was like,
nutcrackers, but he was ready to go.
we
though,
got this.
right?
We got home. So we got to my brother's crib. Everybody was out. Done.
that must have been some good ass nutcrackers.
But he knew.
We was up for like 12 to 7. Like, we was up all day.
How big was it? Was it the small ones or
They're
like the
16
tall
ounce
ones?
joints. Like,
that's a pretty big one.
You got
Yeah.
The
second I was looking like,
up. Pretty big one. Yeah, hell yeah.
I was like, man, what should I be taking?
Usually
this
when I go get
nutcracker?
the nutcrackers, I've been around all my life, so I get the small ones, so I could ease my way into it. Cause man, them shits, those are sneak
You do
ups.
kind of gotta take your way into it. That's what
Yeah,
I know what the main ingredient is of the nutcracker.
What is
yeah,
it?
but now people are changing it up too. So
What is the main ingredient?
There's one main ingredient in the
Which is
nutcracker.
what?
what is it?
141.
What's that?
That's the main ingredient in
It's
nutcracker.
141.
What is it? Though?
Oh, the Bacardi. 151.
I thought it was 151. That's why I was like, what's 141?
All right, he know about a
You know
secret.
what? That's my new address. That's my new address in my
I put a
crib.
blank space. I'm like, what?
141 is the new address in my crib. I just get
190, bro.
the 151.
Grades.
I got confused. 151 is the.
Shit got real fast.
I know.
Yeah.
It's reminiscent.
That's why I get so. That's why I get so fucked up because he's 151's in there. So no matter what else you mix it with.
Nah, that 151 will really fuck you
yeah,
up.
it
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
That'll really get you somewhere with that.
Oh,
huh?
it'll get you, somewhere real fast.
Somewhere you probably don't want to be.
Yeah, wake up the next day like, what the?
Wake up new to your own house by yourself. That happened to me one time. One time, I was living with my kids at the time, and I came home one day. I don't know what the hell I was doing. I wasn't even really that drunk. And the next day, I woke up naked in my kids' room. There was nobody else home. I was like, I don't know where I was for like 30 seconds, like 10 seconds. I was like, where the hell am I? I was like, I see the posters. I was like, why am I naked? There's nobody else. There's nobody else in the house, man. I was like, well, I don't know.
Like you were like, what the
I
hell?
don't know what I did that night, man.
Why was you in the kids' room though? Like,
I don't know.
I was about to ask that.
I don't know. There was no other kids home. There was all of
He
this.
like, they ain't in here. They live here for free. I'm gonna enjoy the room. He's trying to Eddie Murphy's father. I'm drunk. I can fuck my house.
I can do whatever I want. I don't care. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I'll never forget that.
That's probably what happened.
Hey, it's not that bad. It would be a little weird if you woke up in somebody else's kid house.
Yeah, it would be.
Whose
I'd be a
kid's
little
room
fucked
is
up.
Gee, Transformers all over the place.
Long walk of shame.
That's like more like a long stalker scene.
Oh man,
I mean, it is what it is. So,
that's what it is.
Come on, since we got James here, let's talk about some Philly stories.
we had an interesting. So we got our very good friend and official photographer for the Chop Shop Radio, James. I might say his name wrong. Lastowski. We actually took him on. We took him on an interesting journey from here to Brooklyn to hang out with Papa Wu. We did a photo shoot. Then we went in.
Bronx to Brooklyn to Philly.
We stopped in the Bronx first.
Yeah, remember we stopped at my mom's house?
Forgot about that.
My mom's house.
Oh yeah, so we took James on an adventure. So James being James being in his early like 60s, right? 62.
You blow him up?
66 in a couple of
66.
What?
James, so
You
check
look
this out.
pretty good for your age, man. Wow.
So check this out. So James is 66-year-old white man, right? Who lives in the suburbs, and we're taking him to the Bronx and the projects with Jesus' mom.
Oh, he must be having a great time.
Then we're taking him to the spiritual father of the whole Wu-Tang Clan movement, Papa Wu's house in Brooklyn, all in the hood. And then we took him to fucking the Capadonna King Magnetic show in the hood in Philly. And then we banged out in Philly for like a couple of days, and he was with us through it all. Like,
just went on the stage on my own.
yeah. I mean, it was a wild night. We were chilling. We were kicking it.
This was recently?
No, this what?
March?
So, yeah.
Okay.
March, right? Yeah, March, April. Yeah. So that was only not that long ago. So we see. It feels like a year ago, doesn't it feel like it?
Forget the Roots, Legendary Roots.
We went to the Legendary Roots studio and did a live broadcast at the Chop Shop.
Man.
I set that up from through our connections, because of our network. Shout out to the big homie King Magnetic for making that happen, and then you know what I'm saying. Yeah, Capadonna.
Yep,
you know what I mean? And it was just a dope show, and we got to kick it with the people that actually took over the Roots studio. Finesse and all of them. You know what I'm saying? So Ralph Finesse and all of them. Shout out to all the Philly heads. We got to kick it with the older guard, Papa Wu. I mean, not Papa Wu. Obviously Papa Wu, but Capadonna backstage and shit. And then who else was? I mean, it was
That
a lot
must
of
have
heads.
been a good experience.
Judah
right
Priest,
there.
our family, Judah Priest, Wu-Tang affiliate. Judah Priest was there. We got to, and it was crazy because we ran into a former guest of the Chop Shop that wasn't connected to us but was a former guest, Reef the Lost Cause from the Army of the Pharaoh family, from the whole Jedi Mind Tricks family out of one of the biggest super groups in the underground, the Jedi Army of the Pharaohs. Reef the Lost Cause, we had interviewed him on our show like last year, and we ran into him and I said, yo, Nahbi Reality Chop Shop. He was like, oh, what up, so it was dope. But anyways, the point is like we're really universal, and James comes from a different culture and he's a different age group. But he was right there with us in Papa Wu's house looking at the plaques. We were actually took pictures of the plaque
It's in your heart.
that said Papa Wu's name.
It was like
That
a
was from-
documentary 'cause there was no
That was from
you know what I'm saying?
that was
Yeah.
from the 36 chambers being sold, right? Remember that? How dope was that? The plaque with Papa Wu's name on it from the 36 chambers from millions sold from it going platinum
That's
was on the wall. ODB's plaque that ODB's plaque that Method Man had. You know what I'm saying? I mean that
Method Man,
Method
New
Man's
Jersey.
plaque that ODB had and Papa Wu had it. So anyways, we were going through all these different things, but I'm saying like we're universal because we brought him to that, and then like later
You
on,
enjoyed it, didn't you?
yeah, we had a great
Yeah.
time. There was some weave flying, some BB missed it too.
Well, why you think I'm back? I enjoy this guy too, man.
I mean, it is what it is, and it was.
That's the only reason I come back.
So when we was in Jersey, we go to a 24-hour diner, and the diner lady's so hood. He's like, yo, is that a 24-hour bowling alley? She's like, I don't know, go find out. Yo, we was crying.
Welcome
yo.
to Jersey.
She's like, go walk over there. I don't know, I work over here.
What
She
part of
really did
Jersey
say
were you
that,
guys
though.
at?
Yo.
It was like close to Philly, so
Yo, she really did.
Oh, yeah,
she
yeah.
really did. She really did say that. It was like a suburbs outside of Philly, and like homegirl. It was crazy because like we back. Part 2, if you're tuning in, like I said, like you missed part of it. If you tune in, and there's gonna be some behind the scenes footage, but you need to tune in www.uz.world. We just did a whole portion for a couple of minutes. I shut off the stream for a while. If you want to get part of that, Chop Shop Radio, we're tuned back in for our political awareness. We're talking about the time that we took James Lastowski, our Mr. Wise Eyes, our almost 66-year-old
Whoa.
white
Oh, you gotta
photographer.
throw the age in the whole-
almost
Yeah,
65.
sign-
Hey, boy, yeah.
We're talking about the time that we took him. He's a Libra. He's like
Yeah.
me. Did you say? Did you say?
Word.
Yeah. Did you say? Yeah. Papa Wu's 62. You're
It'd be crazy to me when you see somebody like it's my 25th birthday. I made it to be 25.
yeah. Like wow.
Like
Your
you know what I'm
birthday
saying?
is
It's like-
October 4th. Mine's is the 1st. We're both Libras. My daughter, that's the most like me, his birthday is October 10th.
Papa Wise Eyes.
Is she a Scorpio?
No,
Oh, it's
Libras.
still
Well,
Libra?
Libras. We're all Libras.
My son's birthday is the day before mine.
Oh,
That
no,
nigga
it's
ain't
toward
nothing
the
like
end.
me.
Yeah.
Papa
it's toward
Wu's
the end,
birthday is like the day before Mother's Day or after. I forgot.
No, it is on.
Mother's
Mother's
Day.
Day.
It's on
Mother's Day
Mother's Day?
rotate.
Yeah.
But his
It does
Papa Wu's
rotate, though.
birthday.
Mother's Day is not always on the same day.
Papa Wu's birthday is the day. So, anyways, we had took.
Around
So we were
May
talking about
10th, May
yeah.
11th, May 9th.
And then God rest her soul. Cash's mother is our birthday is the same, and me and Cash have a certain chemistry, and his mother's same birthday is October 1st.
Okay.
So
She's nothing like him either. I don't know.
nothing. Jesus, I don't know if that was an insult or a compliment. So mom's not here with us, so he knows it's a. Normally I make jokes, I can't say anything. I just gotta kind of move on this one.
You gotta let that shit go.
You know when you crack on somebody like, yo man, my grandmother died. Like, oh shit.
Yeah, you start feeling bad. You're like, oh,
Hey,
fuck. my bad.
Your both like grandma or your grandma?
So anyways, we're talking about how James is a white in his 60s suburban man, and we brought him to like Brooklyn, the Bronx, and everything like that, and the culture, and we're universal because like he felt comfortable with us, and but that's what we do because we break down these barriers that everybody thinks they're so different, and sometimes I have more in common with a suburban older white man than I do with a young Latino man from my neighborhood, right? Because me and James have a certain understanding, right? And he has a certain perspective he gives to me, which I appreciate. We don't always agree, but 90% of the time he gives me perspective I like. But the point that I'm trying to make is that all those barriers people put up about being, we are more alike than we are.
Well, I think the difference is like some people are like the older, crowd. They're a little bit more judgmental. Why are you doing this? And why are you guys doing that? And you know,
I gotta disagree with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah, I gotta disagree with
Yeah,
that.
James don't really go with the
I-
blood, but we was definitely chief of
He was like this,
weefing.
he was like,
Well, I get along with older crowds, so
Yeah.
I kind of disagree with that because
But we're talking about older, like in their 60s, though, because.
No,
but listen to what
I
I'm
get
saying.
along with people in
But
their
listen to what I'm
30s
saying.
too. Like,
But
I don't know.
Generally speaking,
Wait, hold up,
I'm saying.
Generally speaking,
hold up.
okay.
Hold up. You get along with people that are in that generation, but of what ethnicity?
every like.
Well, because
everything.
the point is that James being
I get along with white
but
people
James
a lot.
James being 66. James being 66.
He's a wise
When
man.
he was 10, when he was 10, 56 years ago, black people were Negroes, right?
not welcome nowhere.
Spanish people wasn't welcome, right? I have relatives that are mixed of black and say that we would rather have 10 Negroes than 2 Spanish people. So he comes from an era where white people didn't always necessarily, it wasn't like how it is now. So he comes from an era that was less acceptable for lesbians and interracial couples.
Back then, they thought being a lesbian was a mental illness.
Yeah. And my grandmother, who is a mulatto, right? My grandmother, who's a mulatto, she was put into a home for
mulattoes.
she was put in a home for watch out, I didn't say nothing about your mother. She was put into, and they're both dead, God rest their souls. So my grandmother, who's mulatto, she was put into a home for girls at the time that were under 18 that were pregnant.
Yeah.
But my grandmother, she was raped. She was raped by a black man, and she was raped, and she didn't know who the father was. So if you didn't know who the father was, you wasn't married. I heard that when my grandmother, her generation back in the 40s,
it's their fault automatically.
They put them into like a special place for like a people. So she was like kind of like incarcerated for being raped.
So
right?
let me bring
up.
this back
It's
one.
fucked
Just let me
up,
bring
right?
this back 1 second. So you see how you just told me the story of how
Yeah.
she was incarcerated for being raped.
Yeah.
She probably suffered from PTSD. Just gonna throw that out there.
No, she didn't. You know what's crazy about my? You know what's crazy is
well, it's
Did she ever
traumatic.
get
You
out
know what
of
I mean?
it?
It's traumatic.
so my grandma
Right, you get what I'm
gonna tell you.
saying?
I'm gonna tell you something that I've never.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say something. Thank you for asking. I'm gonna say something that I've never talked about publicly, and I've never ever in all my years have never talked about publicly.
Never had a form to say it publicly before.
You're right, but I've never said this. I've never said this in a room full of people before. I've never said this, none of this stuff, because it's family history, and I'm not ashamed of it, but I've just never talked about it. Briefly, my grandmother was raped, She was raped by a black man, and I'm not saying anything about black men because my family's part, but that's just a reality. She was raped by a black man, and she was put to a home because she didn't know who the father was because she was raped, and at that time, the dude got away with it or whatever, and different things. So my grandmother being of mixed descent and everything, she went through that trials and tribulations. My great-grandmother, who we consider my great-grandma, my true great-grandmother came from Ireland. But there was another woman, and who I call my great-grandmother and who I call my great-grandfather, they weren't blood. They adopted my grandmother shortly after she had her kid, and then she went on to have other kids, and they adopted all the kids. Like, so they basically took in my mother. They took in, and my great grandmother, who's not my blood great grandmother, but she was the one who took in. They took in my grandmother. Let me tell you about them briefly. My great grandmother Miriam, who's buried with my younger brother, God rest his soul, and buried with my blood grandmother. They're all buried in the same plot. My great-grandmother Miriam, who's not my blood grandmother, her and her husband, my Willie, my great-grandfather, who was black and she was white, back in the 40s, 50s, and none of them are blood. They took her in, and then when she had other kids later on, they took in my whole family, right? And then my great-grandfather was still alive, who's not my blood at the time. I've seen newspaper articles of my great-grandmother. I'm not making this up. I've seen newspaper articles.
Basically like
my great-grandmother.
talking down to her?
No, that she took in over 25,
Oh, so you mean the one who, okay.
30 kids
30, wow.
who were of different nationalities. I swear to God, I've never told anybody this publicly. 25, 30 kids that my great-grandmother, who's not blood, who took in my grandmother and my uncles and aunts, and they raised all of these kids like a foster care, and they raised all of them. So that's why, even though I have blood relatives that are mixed, I also have non-blood relatives that are called family.
You know how much money you would get if you got 30 foster kids?
But at that time, they didn't take money like that.
That's the first thing he's thinking about.
My grandfather.
I mean, they probably.
I'm gonna tell you this.
I'm not saying they did it for the money.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say
money.
my great grandfather, who was black, the one that raised my family, when he was younger, he was born in the early 1900s. Like early 1900s, because he died in 86, and when he died in 86, he was like fucking in his late 80s or 90s. All right, so think about that. So he was born in 1900. He was one of the only and last people, and one of the only black men that rode on the cavalry of the horse and fought against the Confederates.
Yeah, he was in
Wow.
the Titanic, so you know what I'm saying?
Like, think about it. So a lot of people don't know my great grandfather, who was raised as my grandfather, whether he was my blood or not, he was one of the only black men in this region, and one of the last people that was actually riding on a horse and fighting against Confederate soldiers.
You ever seen?
You know what I'm saying? And his wife was white.
You got a hell of a history going on there.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it, but I don't want to talk about it.
No,
But
no, you don't
but the
have to.
point that what I'm trying to say is, so my great grandmother Miriam, God rest her soul, she raised all these different kids and raised all this different stuff. Now this was so it all connects back to James. What I'm saying is that they were a black and white couple raising mixed kids back in when it wasn't acceptable.
They didn't give a fuck.
They gave zero fucks.
They didn't give a fuck.
My great grandmother and my great grandfather both don't give a fuck, and I'll prove it one day. My great grandmother Miriam, who's buried with my brother, and my actual physical biological mulatto grandmother, she was in the newspaper multiple times for raising all these kids, and it wasn't to gain money.
I was in the newspaper too a couple times.
I don't think it was for anything good.
Nah,
because you're black.
Nah, it wasn't.
And black people are never in the news for anything
That
good.
wasn't that good.
No, that's a joke. So, anyways, that's
Obama
a little bit
was
of
in the news
that's
for
a little
something
bit of
good.
family history. That's a little bit of family history. But anyways, what I'm saying is how it all relates back to is that respect to my great grandfather, my great grandmother. They're both gone. Respect to them for breaking those cultural barriers. At a day like now, we're talking.
They paved the way for people like Angelina Jolie.
They did though.
You know what I mean?
No, but they did though, because
Put
how could you
celebrity.
adapt? But they had the kids that were in
They
my
made it
family,
cool to adopt a black kid.
the kids that were in my family were like black, white, Spanish, Asian, and there's all these kids in my family that are my extended family that were raised by my great grandmother, and it was some exploitation shit. They didn't really get a lot of assistance from the government. Like they get a lot of shit from, like, my great grandfather. He had a pension, whatever. He was retired from the military. Like my great grandfather was one of the last and real like black dudes from up north that was riding around on a horse fighting on motherfuckers. Like I got pictures and shit to prove it. I just don't talk about it a lot. It was like kind of like this. Like, I think it might have been a little. I think my great grandfather.
Yeah, style.
My great grandfather Willie was a little. He was a little heavy set. He was a little heavy. He was a little heavy set. So he might have rode it like this, like, you know what I'm saying? So but just think about it. But think about it.
Who got the horse? Like who got him today?
The horse. And then the horse, my great grandfather, my heavyset great grandfather comes and the horse is like, like what's his horse translation? Fuck.
Yeah, he's coming his way.
I got the black. I got the big Negro again.
He's coming your way.
Even the horses called them Negroes in those days. So how it all relates back is that coming from a family that has dealt with racial issues since the early 1900s, and I come from more than what I'm talking about. I respect James for being an older white man who comes from a different culture and being able to adapt and roll with us, and it's a testament.
And
to
it's not like fabricated. It's like he really wants to come here because he don't have to come. You know what I mean? It's like,
I got a story for you. I only met you once, and you inspired me, and it was just.
James,
Wait
a minute. You've been inspired by an older white man,
You want to be a photographer?
I'm gonna tell you what.
and he's not your sugar daddy.
and he's not your sugar daddy.
Oh, you're not my sugar daddy, baby. No. Hey, relax.
Just that again.
No, I'm gonna tell you what he said to me.
Mic check.
After my first interview with you guys, after behind the scenes and whatever, he told me straight up, and I'm not afraid. You don't mind I say it, right? He told me straight up. He said,
No, he's been here a long time. He knows everything goes.
he said, keep doing what you're doing. You're gonna be somebody big. And it hit me home because a lot of people always tell me, oh, you got so much talent. You could do so much with yourself. But it took him to say that to me that really hit me. And, like, I don't even know him. One day knowing him. And, like, his words inspired me to keep doing what.
He don't tell that to everybody.
I mean? He don't, yeah.
We've had a lot of guests on here. And I think that's part of it, And I think the aspiration is important. He said that to me one day too, but I think he meant something different because he meant if I kept eating the pizza from downstairs, I was gonna get big. I don't know.
That's it.
Now you might know, but you clearly don't know. So I'm in information technology, my full-time job, and been in since the '70s. I love it. It's been a great life and everything. This is my passion. Obviously, I spend more time on this than I do on a job I work overtime.
You want to talk in the mic?
So I was working for a consultant.
Just grab it with double-handed.
Talk to you. It's out of my mouth.
Just grab it. Just like that. Go ahead.
At this small consulting company in Pawtucket years ago, this young black man came up from Texas to be a full-time consultant dealing in business intelligence software, pretty sophisticated stuff, not just using it, but also the infrastructure with the server stuff and all that kind of crap in the databases. His name is David. And he was just barely 18 years old. His mom came up, black guy, and his mom, signed the contract because they weren't going to accept, an apartment, no matter how much money that he was starting at, because they just wouldn't,
Yeah.
They could do that. And at the time, I wasn't married to my current wife, and my 3 daughters would spend a lot of time with me. And I saw that this guy was kind of like a fish out of water. He had an opportunity to establish his own friends. He used to come to my home and hang out with my 3 daughters, and got to know my now wife during the period that I was dating her. And the way Nancy and I got married, and we've been married since 2001, and she's loved my life.
You better say that. She might be watching.
Say it again.
Did she pick out that shirt? It looks like she might have. She picked out that shirt for you? No?
She ironed it.
He just went right by the question. He's been here a long time.
So the hard times came across all businesses, market collapse and everything. David went back to Texas, and his girlfriend, they had a baby. He actually is the sole custody of his son, and his son is 12 years old now. Okay, so he's an upright guy. And he was married just coming up 4 years ago, actually 4th of July weekend. It was 4 years ago. His parents are alive. He has a full extended family, brothers, sisters, have brothers, have sisters, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He asked Nancy and I to be his parents. He calls me dad, and he calls my wife Mama Nancy. His parents are alive. They live where he lives. They were at the wedding. There were no hard feelings or anything, but we were the ones that were chosen, that he wanted to be represent
That's
him
deep.
as his
Because he felt that connection. Because
Yeah.
blood doesn't always make you connect. You're forced to be related to people. You choose who's your extended family.
Blood is not always
And your
always
friends.
family, and
I
family
can't
is
choose who
always
my
blood.
cousins
Yep.
are,
Yep.
but I can choose the people in this room I call family.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the empowerment. of it.
I'm still in the process of learning all that because I
But
come
it's
from a
deep.
Trust,
background.
respect,
Yep.
It's deep.
freshness. To me, that's what core to hip hop is. I'm not
Yeah.
wild about hip hop music, but the culture. I'm fascinated, and the people, as a group of people, the people that I have met, with some questionable, exceptions.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, but that's being real though.
yeah, but,
Because it would be fake if you said it was all
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
people who
It'd be
are,
fake if you said it was all
from
good.
out of state, yes,
You know what I mean?
what are you doing, man? But
Like
yeah.
what in the Sam Hill?
Culture is
How
fantastic.
you doing in Canada?
I'm not allowed in Canada.
Sticking to it.
Yeah, that's my story too. I'm not allowed in Canada
Somebody
because
see him in Canada?
Well, no, I want to thank you for giving me those wise words because it is actually he mentioned when I came back he said introduce myself and said, oh, you look a little bit more comfortable. Well, it's really because of what you said to me, and I took that in, and like it comes a long way when somebody says just
Yeah.
a few words.
Sometimes you need
You know what I mean?
yeah, it's a change. Yeah.
You experience what a lot of people do. I really, I don't pull anyone's chain. I'm honest. I say what I mean what I say. And I really only want to help people. If I can't find a way to do that, that's fine. There are plenty of other people.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
a shared legacy, what we all do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think, and I think that people fail to realize is that, without getting too esoteric or spiritual, we're interrelated species. Like,
It's
We're-
social.
but not just on that level. I'm talking about on a deeper level. I'm talking about like, we're more connected psychologically than monkeys, right? And they did this thing where they checked out monkeys, right? And they did this study, and they found these monkeys, and they basically, in my eyes, proved that the concept of collective consciousness.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at, like, for instance, birds,
Yeah.
right? They don't talk, they don't speak.
Yeah, but
you
they do
see
communicate to a certain degree.
how, you know what I mean? So you see like a group like,
Yeah, but they do
let's say
communicate.
50 birds just sitting there, and all of a sudden all 50 birds just flying away at the same time.
Well, that's how they communicate. I feel. They
I
know
mean,
what
but
to
it
do.
has to be. What they say is there has to be like a conscious togetherness.
Well, personally, I hear birds talking all morning, so I don't know. I think
I
they
think
do
you
speak.
do
Oh,
you,
say
do you hear birds when there's no birds around? That's a real question.
Oh no.
But let me know,
No, man, I'm not hearing shit.
But it's not. Well, I'll just use birds for example. You can use squirrels. You can use any other animal. You know, whales. You know, you don't hear them making any noise or whatever. They all move whenever they move. It's time to go.
Yeah,
They
you
all
gotta be
go.
Dory when you're talking
Yeah.
to well.
There is a communication.
They have that consciousness, but when it comes to humans, the consciousness is broken up by the division of life. You know what
But
I'm saying?
but
Like
that's-
we're
that's
not
a-
all
that's
we're
a
not
true point.
we're not all on the same page
No, we're not.
all
We're
the
at different
time.
levels.
You know what I'm saying?
But we're
Everybody,
right.
every human's on a different
Yeah.
level,
Yeah,
so we're not
yeah,
all,
yeah.
all in the same stage
Yeah,
of
yeah.
consciousness.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we can't like for instance, like you can say like I was just thinking of James, and when I walked to the house, James was there. You know what I'm saying? Like how did that happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, but there are people that can control that. Believe it or not,
Like you said,
they're on that higher level
Yes.
level of consciousness.
Of
to where
consciousness.
where they can be like
And connectability.
There's people that's like I can send.
so you would say they're intuitive.
I can say like, there's people that be like I can send Jesus a thought to tell Jesus to call me, and Jesus will call me.
No, but you were saying, so you're talking about people that are intuitive.
No, they have a level of consciousness
There's
that
connectability.
Well, that I get what you're saying. That kind of happens to me when I'm thinking. I'm like, damn, I'm thinking of a person so much, and then all of a sudden they just pop up.
yeah,
weird.
and that's just a coincidence to you because you have no control over it. So imagine you're conscious enough
If I can
and
control it,
powerful
yeah.
enough to be able to control it. Because there's people that say like I can make a person have an orgasm without touching them. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
it's like
but that's
you don't know.
so I'm
You
not-
don't know how yeah.
No, but listen.
There's people like look it up on.
But listen,
there's
what I'm
people that
saying.
say, like
I'm not debating. Like what you're saying is a true point.
I'm not. I don't know if it's true or not.
No,
I'm
but
just
I
saying that,
agree.
like, it's
I
there.
agree. No, but I agree. It's a true point. But it's what you're saying is true, and I agree with it. And it's not off base what I'm saying. But I kind of want to bring it back to like the.
Well, let me finish before you
Right,
before you
right.
just let me finish what I'm saying. People are the most powerful thing on this planet. people. If everybody was together, and had the same thoughts and have the same ideas, you know how powerful people would be.
That'd be boring, man.
It would be boring. I was thinking that already.
But it would be boring because I think it would be. It'd be too uniform.
But that's
right?
what we're trained to think, though. We're trained to think that it would be boring.
I don't know. I mean, I don't really know. Like, I don't know.
I like the whole different level thing. I like that.
We were kind of like not intelligent.
But listen to what I'm saying.
What if we was all on the same level of
that's
consciousness? Not the same individual, but the same level of consciousness.
But that gets into a long debate of a certain level. But what I'm not trying to say that point is not valid. But what I'm saying is, but to round it back to the point that I was trying to make before we get too off base, I was trying to talk about the level of collective consciousness, and this is what I was trying to say, that they did a study on these monkeys.
But they're monkeys, though.
I know, but
there's nothing.
Listen.
Let me. There's nothing to break up a monkey's train of thought because monkeys.
Is not true.
They all monkeys.
No.
Fuck food in this. There's no TV.
That is not true.
Political debates.
No, you're incorrect.
There's no music.
No, but you're incorrect.
Yo, monkeys are smart, man.
You're incorrect.
They're beyond smart,
You're
man.
incorrect because they showed certain these little monkeys that have a different social class than regular orangutans. There's a certain class.
But there's certain species of monkeys, and they all have the same collective consciousness.
There's certain levels of monkeys, there's certain types of monkeys where if you're not born into the higher hierarchy of it, they shit on you and treat you like shit. So there are different social things. But let me get to my point before we get to
Nice point.
Let me get to my point about this is my point. Let me just make my point about collective consciousness. The point is that they did this study and they were these monkeys and they learned how to like open up a nut or some shit or like a hard thing. They learned by cracking it, right? By doing some shit. And then what they noticed is that there were other monkeys in other islands that the other monkeys didn't have access to, where simultaneously once certain monkeys figured it out, the monkeys on these other islands instantly knew how to do it. So what I'm trying to say is that as humans, even though we see ourselves as so different from a black or a white or a gay or a straight or a Muslim or a Christian.
You're proving my point.
The collective, I know, but I'm rounding it up to where it's understandable. The collective, we are part of a collective consciousness. So if people are living in fear, even though you don't feel fear, you're gonna feel it at one point. If people learn something new, even if you're not around them, it's in your subconscious.
No, it's not.
So how is it not?
Because we have different things to break that up.
That is debatable because I agree.
It's not debatable.
That debate is, but I'm debating the fact that we are a collective consciousness.
This argument right now is breaking up our collective consciousness.
To a degree.
I mean, my point.
We can all sit together and sing Kumbaya, but that'd be fucking boring.
It would be. I think it would be.
Kumbaya,
exactly. And that's my point. We are so interactive and entangled in what we do every day that's different from you.
No, you're right.
But when it comes to an animal, what they do every day? They fucking and eat.
Yeah, but they have more.
Let me bring up a point.
But they have more. Some monkeys have more higher social
that's fine.
Hierarchies than you want to say.
Hierarchy has nothing to do with consciousness, though.
But it has a reflection on the culture of the being.
If somebody's a superior being,
yeah,
you're just a superior being. I understand that.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with my consciousness, though. It doesn't have nothing to do with the way I like.
A brain and having
exactly
unmeasurable intelligence.
Yes.
Is different. It's not the same thing.
But my whole point is that here's my whole point. If one human being learns something and comes up with an idea, it goes to some of our subconsciouses. That's how some of us have the same ideas. Is because it goes into a bank. We're all connected like a grid. We just disconnected.
We wouldn't have to teach.
What you saying?
We wouldn't have to teach then.
That's one concept. There's a
animals.
There's a school of thought that believes that we don't learn anything.
All right, so let me say this for example. All right, so you take an animal from the wild. That's naturally a wild animal, like a tiger, and you put them into a controlled environment,
like a zoo.
They want to be a wild, and their natural instincts to be a wild animal. You know what I mean? They're taught. You know, they don't necessarily have to be taught to be a wild animal. They have to be taught to be encaged animal.
Yep, a wild animal to a degree. Yep, something that's calmed down.
You know what I mean? They have to be taught, and it's unnatural for them to be a caged animal in a controlled environment.
Hear me when I say this. So, as a human, sometimes it feels like we're kind of like that encaged animal.
We are in so many ways. I mean,
like we have invisible chains chained to us.
Exactly.
That's
and
how I look at it.
and that's the break our consciousness,
My whole
because
thing is this.
if everybody as a human was
There are people on different sides
It's
of the
all right,
globe
can I-
that have the same idea around the same time, and they think it's an original idea.
I got
But
a
it's
perfect
because we
example
have
for
a
that.
because
Same
there's
idea.
but there's no
wait.
control over it. These
No, you're
anim-
right. There is no control.
These
You're right.
animals can control their
No,
consciousness.
you're
They
right.
can make a person move
I
over
agree.
there
I agree with you
because
that
there's
we have
nothing.
more things to break us
There's
up.
nothing to interfere.
Yeah, they don't have celebrities.
Humans
they don't have
inter-
laptops.
Humans interfere with animals' consciousness.
You're right about that. I agree with that because
do it
they
to
don't have.
ourselves.
Listen, they don't have celebrities to watch. They don't have phones to distract them. You're
And they
right.
don't have another human to
You're
fuck
right.
with their consciousness.
No, you're right
And we
about
fuck
that.
with animals' consciousness.
All right, Cash.
So
I got a
therefore, our
perfect
collective
example for the
is
same
not
idea
as
shit.
connected because of the things that get in our way,
Nahbi,
which I have to
Nahbi,
agree
I got a
with.
perfect example for
Go
the
ahead.
same idea shit. Now, this is gonna blow your mind. So I had an idea, right, to make the remix off of Maria song.
Maria. They already did that, right? Didn't they just recently do that?
Maria.
They just did that, though.
No, but check it. Here it goes.
Crazy Thoughts.
Before that fucking Wild Thoughts.
Wild Thoughts, Wild
yeah,
Thoughts.
Wild Thoughts came
It
out.
was Wild Thoughts at first, but it was Wild
Yeah, I
Thoughts.
thought it
They
was
got a
too.
remix of that called Wild Thoughts.
Okay, that's what I
Oh
thought
yeah,
it was.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
that
With the
fabulous?
dancing hot dogs or something.
Dancing hot dogs.
You
It's
seen
not
that
fabulous.
video?
It's
What the hell? Dancing hot?
Yeah. The hot
I don't
dogs.
mess with Snapchat. Jeez knows all about that.
Yo,
What's
you
it-
need to get on it. You need to get on.
I don't want. If it's dancing hot dogs, I don't want no part of
You
that.
need to get on it. A lot of people will watch your.
I don't even need beef hot dogs. I don't want no part of that.
All right, let me get to the point. So I wanted, so I wanted to make a remix of that song, and then a week or two later, this song comes out with DJ Khaled. I'm like, what the? You know what I mean? I'm feeling robbed because I'm like, yo, I came up with that idea, and now they already kind of took the idea. So if I go, it's gonna just look like I was just taking the same thing. Now I'm following, but really, I came up with the fucking idea
On your own.
Yeah, on my own. I was just sitting down.
So it's the question: did you come up on your own, or was it in the data bank of the human consciousness?
Exactly.
There you go. But that's my perfect example
So
of
it kind
that.
of uses in a medium point. We don't really have a
Well,
there's no answer to it all.
like Don said it one time. Like we would be in Don's crib smoking, getting fucked up, and we would talk about certain stuff, and then all of a sudden, this certain stuff would come into fruition, and it would happen, like you said.
Like it's like we call it, but people call it
So-
manifest destiny.
And like we throw stuff in the universe. We throw stuff out there for the universe. It's for the universe to take. You know what I mean? It's like for the universe to like. So, but at the same time, you're not the only person with that idea. You know what I'm saying?
That person thought about it, 6 months ago.
Yeah, and they just did it. Yeah.
A lot of ideas, obviously any idea is out there, some level, some concept. And a lot of times, like in science, it happens a lot where one person's in one country, another person's in another country. They may not be collaborating directly.
But it's there. It's an action.
They discover parts of the same thing at the same
Yeah.
time. Because, in those cases, it's probably the technology and the work.
It's the right time for it.
Yeah.
All that. It's way people are just looking. It's under the stone because of everything else that other people did.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I find that a challenge in the music world as a musician because sometimes I come up with the most dopest ideas and then because I'm nobody, I'm not, I'm kind of there, but I'm nobody right now. I can't really do much with the idea before the other person comes with it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whether written log or audio log,
Yeah.
get a recorder. They're a little inexpensive. You put tons of.
There's a lot of things I still got to learn. I'm still in the
Or,
learning process. So
a lot of these
that's
guys,
new to me too.
A lot of these guys, they go on places like SoundCloud and they just steal ideas. You know what I mean?
Yeah, see, I'm
a lot of
not.
that.
So a lot of people say I'm a musician. I should be. A lot of people are surprised that I don't listen to music, the music of the new time every day.
When I'm in album
Literally,
mode,
I
I don't
can-
listen to hip hop artists.
Yeah. Exactly.
I listen to alternative music because I don't want to
listen
say
a whole
some
bunch of
shit
stuff.
that another motherfucker said in my
exactly.
genre of music.
So here's my thing with me is I can go a whole car ride with no music on just to clear my head as a musician to get what I want in my head. If that makes sense.
That makes
You know
sense.
what
I do that too, but it's because my CD player is broke. I hate the radio.
No, but a lot of people think, oh, as a musician, you should love all types of music. It's really not like that. It's not. Like literally, I can go days without listening to music because my thoughts and my ideas are getting overpowered by listening to all that out there. So I watched this movie. I don't know if you guys ever watch it, Cadillac Records.
Yeah.
they
Good
talk
movie.
about the
That's real
of
history.
it. Yeah, real
Mos
history.
Def was in that.
So
Was it
now-
Beyonce too?
Yeah, Beyonce was in it. So
He
now
was Chuck Berry. Yo, Mos Def was Chuck Berry. I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot all about that movie. I'm
Yeah,
gonna go home and watch that.
People need to watch this movie.
Cadillac Records is a
'Cause
dope movie.
This is where all like you'll be amazed where hip hop really came from.
Yeah.
You know, they come from this. And like while I'm watching the movie, I was a little bit, younger than now. But Little Walter, my babe, don't
See when he shot Homeboy? See when he shot Homeboy in the movie? He was like, which one of y'all is Little Walter? Bow.
Oh yeah, he's like
The fake.
bow.
He walked off. He
So-
didn't look at it. He didn't look at the
Yeah,
body.
he didn't even look. Just bow. You know what I mean?
Dancing from the 20s.
Yeah. So
yeah,
now,
yeah. But he was a musician, and somebody
now
pretended to
check
be
this.
him.
I haven't heard yet of anybody to want to make a remix of back in the 60s. You get what I'm saying? So now I want to, the idea, which, hey, don't steal my ideas, but the idea of the 60s. I won't say what song, but of the 60s. You know what I mean?
Don't say it. It might get brought.
Don't say it. Hey, yo, we 20 minutes over our time.
Are
We started 30 minutes late, so technically.
Are we getting kicked out?
So
you trying to stop?
We keep talking.
Nah, we
do
gotta wrap it up anyways.
We do
because-
shit all night.
because
Okay.
people at home are probably sick of us anyways.
It was open air.
Oh
Yeah, call ahead of
yeah,
time.
man.
Well, you guys didn't have a show last Thursday?
Nah, we have a show
Yeah,
last
some
Thursday.
shit went
Oh, see,
down.
I'm thinking I missed the Thursday, so okay.
What happened
Nah,
was
we did have
some-
a-
we-
Monday I couldn't
shit
come. I was
happened.
in Jersey. I hope Cash let you know I was in
Yeah.
Jersey.
Yeah, you had text me too. I talked to
Oh
you.
yeah, yep.
So, all right. So we're gonna wrap up.
We didn't. The studio was the station was still down, so we didn't have anything.
Yeah, we
didn't
didn't have
record on
anything.
Thursday,
Yeah, yeah,
on Monday.
yeah.
So we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna wrap up the Chop Shop Radio. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. I just want to say on behalf of our movement, all 9 countries, all 6 states, we are humbled by the fact that anybody, whether it's 5, 10, 300, 400, or 1,000, because sometimes some of our episodes get 300, sometimes they get 100. There's times where some of our episodes have gotten 1,500, almost 2,000 views. And we don't get millions of views, and we don't give a fuck. We just appreciate the fact that people watch us and pay attention to us and actually care about what we say every week. And we thank you and we're inspired by the fact that you still care about what we got to say, because sometimes we can be boring. Yeah.
You can be boring. Speak for yourself.
Oh, I didn't actually, because you want to know why? Is because I don't like to talk about us. But he's actually got it on deck,
What's that?
the video? Or is that...
That's the whole Russian mafia.
Oh, the old Russian Mafia. So there's actually a video, and I'm gonna post it to my page earlier. We had a photo shoot with James, and we had, for those of you who don't know, the Universal Collective is a movement that was started by the Universal Zoo Disciples, which is our family, and it's in 9 countries. We have representatives that are full-fledged members in 9 countries. We have affiliates in 5 other countries, but we have official members and chapters in 9 different countries. And we have 6 different states, and we had a bunch of different members from different New England chapters. We had Razor Shot Paper Cranes from Springfield, Mass. We had Frank Money representing New Bedford, Mass. And we had a Russian Mafia representing New Haven, Connecticut, and then the Rhode Island and Boston chapter of Universal Collective all together for a photo shoot. And we did a video. Russian Mafia did a video, and we was all in. And James, everybody was in the video. It's Brand Gang from Icarus. Icarus Brand Films. They put it out. I'll put it on my page about a few minutes after I stop this broadcast. I'll put it up. James is in it. The whole Universal Collective New England is in it. It was the first time that some of the members of the Universal Collective, because we're spread out all over the globe. And I honestly, like I said, like it's funny because I brought this up recently. Somebody had said, and I was a little bothered by this, not because of my feelings, but because how could you be our peer and look at us and see the opposite? They were saying that I don't know what you guys do exactly, but I think you guys just boost up your ego. And I'm like, that's what they said about us, the collective. Yeah, and I'm like, we make a platform for everybody, and we create all of this. And it's not that my feelings were hurt. I was just kind of disappointed that it was a respected peer that was like, all you guys do is feed your egos. And it's like, we don't. James, you're a behind the scene guys. Have they been to this studio? They have actually once, yes. And they're a peer of ours. I'm not going to say anybody's name. They know who they are, what they said. And it's crazy because they said that all that we seem to do is feed our egos. And it's interesting because, James, knowing us, you know that we only post a portion of what we actually do. And I wasn't even going to bring up the video that we just put out that we're in until you said it. It's like, and it's crazy. But anyways, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? It's cool that you guys make hip hop and you make songs and you run around and you're cool and all of that. But until you make a social change and you really do something, then you can talk to me about a criticism of things.
So much is done here. We're talking about the history and the interviews of
Yeah.
people who were
It's almost flabbergasting. Like, it's almost crazy that somebody would say that, right? And somebody who's supposed to be an intellectual who's a peer. Yeah, but that because but it's like Kash said, if one person said that, other people think it. But that's the thing is, like, we make this whole thing Universal Collective Presents, but we barely play any music by it. Well, they make music themselves, but it's crazy because I think that
all kinds of music people with
Yeah.
different frame of references and
you know what? We had a guest here. A couple weeks ago, and you know what she said? She said, "How many artists? Because we are artists, right? We make music. How many artists give other artists the microphone? We do it all the time. We talk about ourselves 5% of the time. We've been going a year strong. They've barely seen anything from us because we don't talk about ourselves. We talk about other people because we made the platform. But that's what I'm saying. It's like until you go out and make a social change, I don't give a fuck if you make boom bap music, if you're cool, if you're like whatever. Like, you don't really like. It's cool you make rap, like you make music. A lot of people make music, but what social impact do you have? And I'm not talking about your friends down the street. I'm saying like, what do you, what do you? Yeah,
Yep.
what do you exactly
Yep.
like? How many people are really impacted? Oh, cool, you make boom bap music, okay, but who gives a fuck? How
Right.
many children's life have you saved? How many victims of violence have you? And that doesn't mean you haven't done anything, but it's just like before you criticize people, I think you should look at the impact. And I just think it's funny because like we've built up this movement in silence. Like the Universal Collective has been a private discussion group and a private group for like a year, and it was only a few months ago I made it public, and people that are our peers kind of looked at us and said, I was like, yo,
measured. I mean,
yeah, it's
it
crazy.
was like almost a year from the time I shot you guys over at Dusk.
Yeah, Dusk, yeah, first time you met us, yeah. And that was a while, but that was before a lot of things happened, before the Wu-Tang connections and all that other stuff. But anyways, I tried to get my feelings about it, but it bothers me because I'm like, we selflessly give so much, but that is our peers' conversation. But that's what happens with people that you're around locally, right? Like locally, there's competition or you have issues, and it's like I think that every artist has this one thing they can say. Every artist, not maybe every artist, because some people are like, okay, my city supports me, whatever. A lot of people that are real people that I know agree that you get more support. We get more support out of the country than we do in our own state.
Yeah, no,
We've had
I agree
more
with
people
that.
call in the phone line from outside of America than we've had call from Providence, and we're based in Providence. And I'm not mad. I'm not salty. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed a little bit in the people I'm around sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's interesting. And
It is an interesting thing. But like I said, I don't get into my feelings about it.
Well, somebody
I
said,
just,
like,
you know,
I mean, well, my whole theory on it is because, like, when you're
your competition.
when you're here, not necessarily, it's because it's like it's a prejudgment of who you are. Because, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you go on stage in Rhode Island, it's like, I know his baby's mom. I know he did this and this and this and that.
That guy calls himself Nahbi, but his name is so and so.
Yeah, and I know what he did this. And I know his mom.
He
I
calls
know
himself Kash, but his name is Eduardo.
you know what I'm saying? So,
just keep inviting new people.
Yeah, that's what it is.
so
Bring them all
they have all this.
Let them experience what goes on.
We've let people come in here who we don't even really like that much. Yeah, you and S. Perez.
I know.
So
when you
we let
go,
people in here that we don't even really care.
so when you
for.
go out of state and these people have no preconceived notion of who you are, and they just look at you and they like
They
your
judge you based on
music.
your talent and what you bring to the table. And I
That's
don't
what
think that
happens.
that's. I don't think that that's.
There's
a
no
problem that
story.
we face. I think everybody faces that.
Everybody,
I
yeah.
think a lot of local artists, they make a lot of fans before in America. They're making a lot of fans out of America. You get what I'm saying?
No, it is. And you know what's crazy?
Because I know people that goes on tours out of state.
Oh, yeah.
Tour. And then I say this. I didn't want to talk about this, and I wouldn't have brought this up publicly, and I'm going to say it briefly. I was never going to bring this up because, like I said, I'm a little perturbed or whatever you want to say about that fucking feedback. And I never would have brought this up. I never would have brought this up.
A stomach ache?
No, I never. I think I'm gonna use the right word. I try to use my white words. Like if you want to make
White word.
listen
We
to
had-
you,
we had conversation
say,
about this
is
earlier.
preposterous.
White.
We talked about this earlier.
Yeah, this is preposterous. But I never would have said this publicly. But I'm gonna say it briefly. I'm gonna talk about it and never talk about it again. I never realized how much of an impact the movement that I and Kash and other people have helped build had until the other day. I did something that I don't normally do, and
Kiss the man.
and I fondled a man. No, me and Kash took a shower together to prove that we were not gay. We don't have no problem with gay. So shout Shout out to my fam. Shout out to my fam. Wink. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Wink.
Shout out to the new. No, that's my. Come on, man.
making it
That's, come on, man. Austin Jones.
You said it, not me. I didn't say that.
So you trying to say, yo, Wink, don't take that seriously. Shout out to the whole new Woo generation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
War,
shout
we
out to
already.
Wink.
So, but I want to say this real quick. I honestly, if it wasn't for this conversation, I'm gonna keep it real. I never would have talked about this publicly. But I never realized the impact of I want to say this. If you're an artist and you're out there and you're underground and you don't have major albums,
It's about the websites.
Yeah,
the websites.
and you're not. I mean, yeah, and you don't have major features. You haven't done nothing. I want to say, don't ever.
Fret.
And this is to you, as Perez, and this is to all you artists out there. Just because you're not famous or not big and selling records, don't ever
Underestimate
the impact you're having globally. Because we're not a well-known group, right? And the other day I Googled us, Universal Zoo Disciples. I Googled us, right? And the Chopp Shop comes up, and different shows we do, and Twitter comes up, and all this other shit comes up. But if you go to the second page, there's a website that has to be based in either Portugal or Brazil, because it's all in Portuguese. And Universal Zoo Disciples came up, and there was a bunch of shit on us, right? Like videos and this and that. And I'm thinking, they don't know who we are, right? Because it's obviously in another country, because it's all in Portuguese.
Yeah.
I was like, they don't know who. Check this out. I was like, they don't know who we are. In my head, I'm trying to because we're not well known. I'm like, maybe it's just any artist you look up, underground or whatever. It just shows you their YouTube. But then I found songs of us posted, and then the whole song's translated, albeit not all the way good, in Portuguese.
Cool. That's pretty cool.
There's a
That is
website
cool,
in
yeah.
Portuguese that has our songs, our EP, that's only on SoundCloud, translated into Portuguese. And they have a whole bunch of shit on us. If you look up Nahbi
See,
Reality,
now I'm gonna take that with me too.
if you look up Nahbi Reality,
because
and
sometimes
you look
I
up
get
Universal Zoo
discouraged,
Disciples,
you know what I mean?
Listen, if you look up Universal Zoo Disciples and you look up Nahbi Reality and you go to the second page, there's a fucking thing called Baxterra or whatever. Go look it up yourself as if I'm bullshitting. Go look it up, and there is a bunch of shit on us. There's videos on YouTube of us. There's SoundCloud songs. For some reason, one of our best MCs is Lex Super. There's a lot of his shit on there. I guess they love him more in Portugal. This website is either based out of Portugal or Brazil. It's not American because it's not in English at all. It's all in Portuguese. My baby's mother's Portuguese, and she read it to me, some of it. The translation wasn't always so great. But we have a bunch of songs, and I thought maybe like anybody you looked up, maybe it was just you know how like you go to look up a flight and they have like sites that connect you to everybody that has flights.
Yeah,
I thought it was that. But somebody took the time to translate our fucking songs in Portuguese.
Yeah,
and
that's
I don't know
real.
who these people are. You know what I'm saying? So the point that I'm trying to make is not, oh, we're so cool, is that if you're an artist or you're a person that talks or does anything with media or anything, and you ever think that nobody knows who you are, we're an unknown group without an album, and there are people in another country in another language that are translating our songs.
So I want to thank you for saying
Yeah?
that tonight, because I honestly, a couple of days ago, I was like, damn, I got this EP on iTunes, I got all this stuff out there, but who's really listening? And like in my head, I'm like, nah, I'm
it
nobody
might get translated
right now.
into
Yeah.
Portuguese, and you
Yeah,
might
yeah,
not. And I didn't even know.
never know. Yeah.
Yo, it's like
Well,
it's
check
like-
this out. I went on SoundCloud for the She Dance song, and I got 11,000 views. No comments, but I got 11,000 views. And I was like, whoa.
That's a lot.
That's
a lot.
For an
Yeah.
underground song, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, wait a
You
minute.
didn't, you
Like,
didn't buy
some
those
people are
views.
listening.
You didn't buy
The most-
those views.
No, I ain't
the
buy
most,
those
the
views.
most, the
I
most,
would
nerve,
never.
the most nerve-wracking thing is putting out music or putting out something that's creative that you don't know how people are gonna react.
Yeah, how they
to
gonna
it.
judge it, right?
You know what I'm saying? That's like people that hold people back. Like I'm gonna put this
Yeah,
out.
like
Should
how
I
they
put this
gonna
out?
judge
Should I
it?
hold it back? So is it good? Is it
I
good
was
enough?
like that about one song. I was like, I don't really want that on the EP. But then I was like, you know what? Let me.
I've always been
just put it on
that
there.
way about features, and then when I Google myself, all the features I've ever done come up, and I haven't done a lot, but they're like all like 3 or 4 of them are on there. As soon as you Google me, and I'm like, fuck, some of these I'm not that proud of.
What
Yeah.
a narcissist.
No, I'm really not that
Well,
proud of.
I
them.
think as an artist,
Google themselves.
What you mean? I was bored. Right? In my job, sometimes you go very far, and I'm in the van for hours, 2 hours, and I gotta Google
Take a
myself.
nap.
I Google myself. Fuck it. People take Google. I Google myself.
You know what I find
Fuck it.
interesting about what you just
Was
said?
that song? When I'm alone at night, I touch myself. When
When I'm alone at night, I Google. The best time to Google yourself is when your clothes are off.
No, what I find interesting about what he said. God, these guys.
Everybody.
He's all right.
All right, this is a wrap up. So I hope that
One last
Okay,
thing I
go
gotta say.
ahead.
So what I find interesting about what you just said, I think as an artist, when you make a song and you hear it too much, you start to look at all the fuck ups. But then when somebody else hear it, they're like, no, this song is great. So
that depends on what kind of artist you are.
Judge yourself.
Some artists are their worst critics, and some artists are tone deaf to their own music.
Some people
and they
think
can't.
they're so hot, and someone needs to tell you.
It's ridiculous.
Usually the ones
Stop
that are
posting
tone
all
deaf
the
are the
music,
ones
'cause
with the
nobody
worst
cares.
music, to be honest.
Exactly. I mean,
Me, I'm not tone deaf.
that's-
I'm like thinking,
the
oh, I'm the
worst,
worst. And then
exactly.
people hear my music now and they're like, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm ready to make another EP because I'm ready to make better music. People are still like, no, this song is hot.
Well, the
This
thing
song
is,
hot. And I'm
the
just
thing
like,
is,
what?
every
You know what I
day,
mean?
every day, you feel like you get better as an artist.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
probably as a photographer, you feel like you get
Yeah.
better every day. And when you took some pictures last week, like. Those pictures ain't shit. You know what I can do right now. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
every day, you feel like you get better.
Yeah.
And
And if you
that's
take,
but that's you knowing your capabilities. But that's not everybody just listen to it without a prejudgment.
Yeah.
Prejudgment.
You know what I'm saying?
And
They're
that,
not-
I think, like you're saying, but I think, like you're saying, I think that's part of it is the prejudgment, right?
Yeah.
Is the prejudgment, but that's why it all rotates back to why you get more love outside of your own hometown.
Because of prejudgment, yeah.
No, it is like he punched my boy in the face. I beat him up when he was 12.
Hey.
His baby's mother.
That nigga
is
shot
my
fuck his
boy's
baby's
baby.
moms, or you know, I mean,
His boy shot my.
his
boy.
son's gay. Ah,
His son's
hey,
gay.
you know, like-
Yeah.
He calls himself Master Killer, but his name is Jeffro or something.
you know,
My bad, Master
yeah.
Killer. I know
It's all
you
this other stuff, all these additives that go along to your personality that they judge your music off of. But when you go to
No, I
somewhere
agree.
else,
They don't have the prejudgments.
they don't know you.
How
They
much
just
love did we get
Yeah,
when we went
that's
on
true.
tour in North Carolina?
because like I listen.
They
guys got a
loved
lot
us.
of love?
We went on tour down south, and they loved us.
They love us when we
Loved
do shows here, though. It don't matter. They love us when we do shows out here. It don't
They
matter.
do, but not as much as they don't.
Yeah.
Only to the toots and
Then what really
only the toots on cocaine lovers.
what really got me is like New York. Like, you know, in New York they say you can if you make it in New York, you can do it. You can do it anywhere. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
And,
that's true.
And did we do a show in New York?
No, but we did deeper shit than do shows in New York.
When I
We
went
went
to
to
These
the
guys.
5% rally and did other shit.
when we went to New York,
Just we muscled our way around.
we went to New York and we went to the
RZA
RZA,
show.
we went to the RZA show and they had some underground artists there, and I was like, we're way better than them.
Yeah, it wasn't even an ego thing. It was just
I was like, we're way like I'm a pretty like fucking fair judge of like music. Like, that dude's better than us. He's better than us. I'm like, yo, that nigga's nice. Like he would ripped us apart.
You know, I got in trouble for that.
Was saying that?
I got in trouble for saying that. I did.
Hey, man.
You know, I
True.
got cussed out for that.
Papa Wu?
Yeah, Papa Wu cussed me out.
He cussed you out because we told him that we was better than them niggas. That was
Yeah, I, real quick.
Cause that's what I told Nahbi.
He always says, he says, real quick.
Because I told Nahbi because I was watching. I was like,
no, but
yo,
I'm
they're
not
okay.
saying
I was like,
agree
yo,
with
we
you,
would
though.
have killed this. We would have
No,
killed this
but
show.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But what I'm saying is that your point is that you made you realize by going to New York that how talented we are. But what I'm saying is that. But this is a funny story. So I don't normally talk about private conversations, but I was in a conversation with Papa Wu, and I said to Papa Wu, you know, Papa Wu, you know what I'm saying, that dude to open up for the RZA or whatever, you know, this and that, blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm just saying we better than him.
All of them.
No, but listen, but Papa Wu got at me. But listen to what he said to me. Listen, but Papa Wu says, Nahbi, don't say that. That's you being egotistical and this and that. And he goes, and all you know is that before you know what I'm saying, you don't know that dude put up money. He put up money to
They put in
to
work.
management to whatever. And he went up there and he represented and this and that. He goes, so listen, so this is the fun. This is
representing my
no.
dude.
This is one of the funniest shit. This is one of the funniest moments of my life, though. This is one of the funniest moments of my life. There's not many moments where somebody can shut me up, but Papa Wu is one of the few people that can shut me up. And it's not because I'm scared of him. It's because he says shit that's so real that I can't argue, right? Like, yeah, it will be. So Papa Wu goes, so listen, so
you're not scared of me?
Hold up. Before I go into the end of the story, and we're gonna wrap up the show. Just remember that Papa Wu is the mentor to the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, Papa Wu says to me, I'm only gonna tell you the condensed version of the conversation because it was a personal conversation. He goes, you know, Nahbi, you can't be arrogant like that. You gotta know this and that. I go, yeah, but the truth is we were better, which we are. But he says some shit to me. He goes, you know what, Nahbi? He goes, you know what? He goes, listen. He goes, you know what? You nice. You alright, Nahbi. You can rap, but I know dude's better than you. And I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah. I said, yeah. He said, yeah. And in my head, I had a flash of Wu-Tang Clan. I was like, yeah.
You know what I was saying?
We're talking about Ghostface.
You know what I was saying? I was like, yeah. I would be like, Nahbi, G's, Super. I'll name all niggas in our group and shit. You
get what I'm saying though? It was a humbling moment. He goes, Pop goes, I know people better than you. I was like, yeah. He goes, yeah. And I thought about Ghostface Killer and everybody. I was like,
the lesson in that is there's always gonna be somebody better than
of course. But you have to see yourself as the top of the food chain, because without that, you don't have that. And with this thing is that
so that brings you back to too, though, right? You gotta have the humbleness and the confidence. That's it.
Be humble.
Yeah, you got.
I don't do that competing shit. I don't do that.
So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna extend the time. We're gonna wrap up the show.
Yep.
And we'll be back next Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at www. Our website is how you can watch the real show. This ain't a Facebook show. It's a web show. We just do the Facebook stream because some of y'all are too friggin' lazy. It's www.uzd.world. UZD. U as in universal, Z as in zoo, D as in disciple.world, not .com. You click Chop Shop, and this is actually live streaming right now on there. It goes into the archive. Shout out to everybody from all the different countries that are watching. Shout out to the peeps from Wu-Tang Management that are watching. Shout out to the big homie Supreme from Sons of Man who was watching. Everybody from New Zealand, France, Italy, everybody from the different countries that I saw tuned in, everybody from our different families and everybody that supports us. And we'll be back next week. And what I'm going to start to do is I want to create a forum and I'm going to put up an email address soon. And fans and people that are supporters of the Chop Shop, you can send me different subjects that you would like to do pieces on, and I'll start doing pieces and research on things that we want to know what's important to y'all. We don't want to talk about what just was important to us. What do you think is important? What do you think the Chop Shop should be talking about? What do you think we should be doing? And we'll go through those and we'll filter some of the ones that we feel are more relevant. And we'll do pieces on things. If you feel like racism, if you feel like sexuality, if you feel like the feminism of hip hop should be touched.
That should definitely be touched.
We're gonna put up pretty soon. We're gonna have an email address that's gonna be strictly for that, and we'll take every few weeks or whatever. We'll take different subjects from that, and we'll actually do pieces on the show because we don't want to just do shit about what we want to talk about. So. Shout out to the Wu Worldwide DJ Coalition and Wu-Tang Management for all their support for our show. Shout out to everybody in Universal Collective, and shout out to you if you took the time to watch a motherfucker talk. One thing, shout out to my mom, just in case she actually clicked the link and is watching. Shout out to my moms. Shout out to Mom Dukes. You know what I mean?
That means a lot to me. So
shout out to Cash's mom and my grandmother, who we're not allowed to crack on because they're not here. But
yeah, rest in peace. Rest in peace.
We're not allowed to crack on. You know what I mean?
No mama jokes here.
So peace, love, and hip hop, man. And I just want to say, in these times, there's a lot going on. So, like C. Ray's Wall said, read, study, and build your inner power because the next level don't tolerate cowards. We love y'all. Peace.
Yeah. Yo, it's the league. Yo. Ayo, you similar to drinking mad vinegar. All sour in your face, looking all sinister, bitch. I never been the one apologetic. You urban and pathetic, I murder you and forget it. Yo, you credit, I'm the judge of you. Your skin is uncomfortable. Sold your own soul to a gin, but yo, how much is due? You want your family, your friends, and your bloodline. You been cursed like Dracula when the sun rise. But when that gun rise, one eye closed. Spit a dog motherfucker with my 1-9 blow. Get your head split, talking all that rhetoric you bet see. Paramedics pathetic, you headed for that dead pit, making you hope that it's over. Why you close to a cobra when the venom's like a dose of Ebola? Got that fatal exposure like radiated Chernobyl. Razor blade in your vocals, I lacerate when I'm postal. Never lose your heart, even if you're bloody in a pool of soft. Even if you're tiger with Lamborghini, you're pulled apart. Better prove your talk, fucking with the lead killer. Blowing my trees, make it easier to grieve killer.
Easy killer, you fucking with the league, nigga. You like me, bleed, but shit, Godzilla. I'm down there like Nokia. You looking like Tokyo, I stomp through your hood. Even if I'm taken out, would I do it all over again if given? So more hood. In the booth I'm more nicer than rednecks in the woods. Nicer than urban young niggas with the gun, nigga. Nice as my young bitch tongue on the gun, nigga. I do this for fun, nigga. I'd rather bust around than bust my gun, nigga. Real shit, I got 3 sons, nigga. That's 4 times the beef through the math. 50th Street, nigga. Come on, man. How could you not fuck with me with all you getting in return is love from me?
If you love us, let the money drop. We doing numbers for the brothers on the corners of the gully block. For the mothers and the daughters who be mourning for the son they shot, and all them kids doing money hop. If you love us, let the money drop. We doing numbers for the brothers on the corners of the gully block. For the mothers and the daughters who be mourning for the son they shot, and all them kids doing money hop.
Who nah, you're not impressing me still. My niggas next to me will get ill. I've been nice in Centerville, word. Shout out to Bill. All my other cousins they will kill. My mom blood on that. Gotta swing any blood on tracks. Brownsville and the Bill fall back. It's real. I rep in Jersey at the service with a murderous skill. Pittsburgh down P where the curtains are still. Got an appetite to kill 'em on the hunt for a meal. Catch a blind about the Jordan, let 'em die in they filth. Bring a couple goonies with me, homecoming the building. They outside in the wheel just chillin'. Slip up if you want to. Road dogs are hunting for dog food. If I wanted to, I give it to all you. The music is awful, half crazy, no seconds to burn. I'm in the race against time so I can finally purge. What you thought was gonna happen when I'm penning the verse? You got a problem, put the hazards on and hit the reverse, man.
Cógelo con teque easy. Coño, los polos que make you bleed. The break on Julio, don't get it Stevie. I'm in the studio quarantine in the booth with a flow like straight polio with no way to be seen me. No way to be seen me. I have an alibi. You in the Cashman camera when the hands fly. I tell the truth even when I lie. It's the point of me putting my hands on the Bible. I don't believe in God. It's me against the world. How I'm gonna beat the odds. Think something out of this world. Somewhere between stars. I need a spaceship back to Star Galactica. The box does match for each one of my passengers. Each one of you have to get adjusted to the atmosphere. Pressure at the air, the beast that we master. Dirty, you know the league. We ahead of a time, no need to worry. I fix the flush capacitor.
If you love us, let the money drop. We doing numbers for the brothers on the corners of the gully block. For the mothers and the daughters who be mourning for the son they shot, and all them kids doing money hop. If you love us, let the money drop. We doing numbers for the brothers on the corners of the gully block. For the mothers and the daughters who be mourning for the son they shot, and all them kids doing money hop.
Yo, it's the league, yo, ayo, you similar to drinking man vinegar. All sour in your face, looking all sinister, bitch. I never been the one apologetic. You worried and pathetic, I murder you and forget it. Yo, you credit, I'm the judge of you. Your skin is uncomfortable. Sold your own soul to a gin, but yo, how much is due? You want your family, your friends, and your bloodline. You been cursed like Dracula when the sun rise. But when that gun rise, one eye closed. But a dark motherfucker with my 1-9 blow. Get your head split, talking all that rhetoric you bed see. Paramedics and said it, you headed for that dead bit. Making me hope that it's over. Why you close to a cobra? When the venom's like a dose of Ebola. Got that fatal exposure like radiated Chernobyl. Razor blade in your vocals, I lacerate when I post them. Never lose your heart, even if you're bloody in a pool of sharks. Even if you're tied to a Lamborghini and pulled apart. Better prove your talk, fucking with the league killer. Blowing my trees, make it easier to breathe, killer.
Easy killer, you fucking with the league, nigga. You like me, bleed, but shit, it's Godzilla. I'm down there like Nokia. You looking like Tokyo, I stomp through your hood. Even if I'm taken out, would I do it all over again if given? So would. More hood, more goods. In the booth, I'm more nicer than rednecks in the woods. Nicer than urban young niggas with the gun, nigga. Nice as my young bitch, tongue on the gun, nigga. I do this for fun, nigga. I'd rather bust around than bust my gun, nigga. Real shit, I got 3 sons, nigga. That's 4 times the beef through the mad 50th Street, nigga. Come on, man. How could you not fuck with me with all you getting in return is love from me?
If you love us, let the money drop. We doing numbers for the brothers on the corners of the gully block. For the mothers and the daughters who be mourning for the son they shot, and all them kids doing money hop. If you love us, let the money drop. We doing numbers for the brothers on the corners of the gully block. For the mothers and the daughters who be mourning for the son they shot, and all them kids doing money hop.
Who nah, you're not impressing me still. My niggas next to me will get ill. I've been nice in Centerville, word. Shout out to Bill. All my other cousins they will kill. My mom blood on that. Gotta swing any blood on tracks. Brownsville and the Bill fall back. It's real. I rep in Jersey at the service with a murderous skill. Pittsburgh down P where the curtains are still. Got an appetite to kill still I'm on the hunt for a meal. Catch them lying about the joint, let them die in they filth. Bring a couple goonies with me, homecoming to build. They outside in the wheel just chillin'. Slip up if you want to. Road dogs are hunting for dog food. If I wanted to, I give it to all of you. The music is awful, half crazy, no seconds to burn. I'm in the race against time so I can finally purge. What you thought was gonna happen when I'm penning the verse? You got a problem, put the hazards on the hit of the verse, nigga.
Cógelo con teque easy. Cuando los molos can make it bleed. The break on Julio, don't get it Stevie. I'm in the studio quarantine in the booth with a flow like straight polio with no way to see me. No way to see me. I have an alibi. You in the Cashman camera when the hands fly. I tell the truth even when I lie. It's the point of me putting my hands in the Bible. I don't believe in God. It's me against the world. I'm gonna be the odds. I think something out of this world. Somewhere between stars. I need a spaceship out of Star Galactica. The box that's matched for each one of my passengers. Each one of you have to get adjusted to the atmosphere. Pressure at the air, the beast that we master. 30 know the league, we ahead of a time. No need to worry, I fix the flush capacitor.
If you love us, let the money drop. We doing numbers for the brothers on the corners of the gully block. For the mothers and the daughters who be mourning for the son they shot. And all them kids doing funny hops. If you love us, let the money drop. We doing numbers for the brothers on the corners of the gully block. For the mothers and the daughters who be mourning for the son they shot. And all them kids doing funny hops.